আউযু বিল্লাহি মিনাশ শাইতানির রাজিম। বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম। বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টস ইউনিয়ন মালয়েশিয়া তথা বিএসইউএম এর উদ্যোগে আয়োজিত এবং বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টস অ্যাসোসিয়েশন অফ ইউপিএম তথা বিএসএইউপিএম এর অনুষ্ঠিত আজকের এই বিশেষ শিক্ষা সেমিনারে উপস্থিত রয়েছেন বিএসএইউপিএম এর নির্বাচিত সভাপতি এবং একই সাথে বিএসইউএম এর সভাপতি, আজকে প্রোগ্রামের সভাপতি যিনি করছেন ভাই মোহাম্মদ জহিরুল ইসলাম। উপস্থিত রয়েছেন আমাদের প্রধান আলোচক প্রফেসর ডক্টর সাইদুর রহমান। উপস্থিত রয়েছেন আমাদের বিশেষ আলোচক ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আলী তারেক। বাংলাদেশের বুয়েট, ঢাকা ভার্সিটি সহ আরো বেশ কয়েকটি ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে বেশ কয়েকজন শিক্ষক যুক্ত হয়েছেন এবং উপস্থিত রয়েছেন আপনারা, যাদের জন্য আমাদের এই আয়োজন। সবাইকে প্রথমে সালাম জানাচ্ছি, আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহ। মিউট করা লাগবে না, নিজে নিজে একটু মনে মনে উত্তর দিলেই হবে। এবং সাথে সাথে সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি এবং সবাইকে প্রথমে আরেকটা জিনিস না জানাইলেই নয়, সেটা হচ্ছে ধন্যবাদ। আপনারা দূর দূরান্ত থেকে, এবং আমি একটু আগে লক্ষ্য করছিলাম যে হিসেব করছিলাম যে আমাদের যারা রেজিস্টার যারা হয়েছেন, যারা রেজিস্ট্রেশন সম্পন্ন করেছেন, কতগুলো ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে রেজিস্ট্রেশন সম্পন্ন করেছেন এবং কতগুলো দেশ কভারেজ হয়েছে। তো আপনারা খুবই আনন্দিত হবেন যে আমি হিসেব করে দেখলাম প্রায় 70টার বেশি, 70টার কম নয়, আরো বেশি ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে আমাদের পার্টিসিপেন্টরা আছেন। কেউ শিক্ষক, কেউ মাস্টার্স করতেছেন, কেউ পিএইচডি করতেছেন এবং অনেকে আছেন যারা আন্ডার গ্রাজুয়েট করতেছেন। এবং এটাও আমি লক্ষ্য করলাম যে আমাদের বাংলাদেশের বিডি থেকে শুরু করে আরো কয়েকটি রিসার্চ যে ইনস্টিটিউট আছে সেখান থেকেও বেশ কিছু কর্মকর্তা যুক্ত হচ্ছিলেন। তো এই জন্য আমরা আলহামদুলিল্লাহ করি যে আমরা অনেক আজকের এই করোনা কালে, মহামারী কালে, যে সময়ে আমরা ফিজিক্যাল ডিস্টেন্স মেনটেন করতেছি, সেই সময়ও যে আমরা ভার্চুয়ালি যে কানেক্টেড হতে পেরেছি, ফিজিক্যাল ডিস্টেন্সিং থাকলেও মনের যে ডিস্টেন্সিং সেটা যে নেই, এই জন্য আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। তো আমরা কথা বাড়াবো না, আমাদের আজকের যে প্রোগ্রাম সেটা হচ্ছে শিক্ষা সেমিনার এবং আমাদের আজকের মূল আলোচনা শুরু হবে 11:45-এ। তার আগে আমাদের যে আলোচনা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে ইনফরমেশন সার্চিং স্ট্র্যাটেজি, যেটা আমাদের সেটাও শুরু হবে 11:15-তে। সো আমাদের দুইটাই আলোচনা। আমি সকলকে অনুরোধ করব ধৈর্য ধরে আলোচনাগুলো শোনার জন্য এবং সম্ভব হলে নোট রাখার জন্য। পাশাপাশি আমরা যদি মনে করি যে আরো আপনাদের জন্য সহযোগিতামূলক এই স্লাইডগুলো আপনাদেরকে প্রদান করা যায়, তাহলে আমরা চেষ্টা করবো, আপনাদের ইমেল গুলো যেহেতু আমাদের কাছে আছে, আমরা চেষ্টা করব সেগুলো আপনাদেরকে প্রোভাইড করার জন্য। তো আমাদের আজকের এই শিক্ষা সেমিনারের প্রথমেই উদ্বোধনী আলোচনা শুনবো। উদ্বোধনী আলোচনা নিয়ে আসছেন আমাদের বিএসইউএম এর সভাপতি, বিএসএইউপিএম এর সভাপতি এবং আজকের প্রোগ্রামে যিনি সভাপতিত্ব করছেন ভাই মোহাম্মদ জহিরুল ইসলাম। আমি অনুরোধ করছি জহির ভাইকে তার উদ্বোধনী আলোচনা রাখার জন্য।
ধন্যবাদ আনামুল ভাই। প্রোগ্রাম যথাসময়ে আমরা শুরু করতে পেরেছি। আজকের প্রোগ্রামে উপস্থিত সম্মানিত কিনোট স্পিকার, সম্মানিত আরেকজন আলোচক এবং আমাদের বেশ কিছু শিক্ষক বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে জয়েন করেছেন এবং আজকের উপস্থিতি সবাইকে আমি অন্তঃস্থল থেকে অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি এবং আসসালামু আলাইকুম ও শুভ সকাল। আজকে আসলে আমরা একটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ প্রোগ্রাম বলবো আমরা, যে বাংলাদেশি যত স্কলাররা আছেন বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন দেশে আপনারা ছড়িয়ে ছিটিয়ে রয়েছেন, সবার কল্যাণে আমরা চেয়েছি একটা সুন্দর প্রোগ্রাম যেন আমরা উপহার দিতে পারি। সেই অনুভূতি থেকেই মূলত আমাদের আজকের প্রোগ্রামের আয়োজন করা। আমরা চেষ্টা করছি যেন আমরা যে যেখানেই থাকি, আমরা যেন আমাদের দেশকে, আমাদের জাতিকে আমরা আমাদের কেরিয়ারের মাধ্যমে যেন আমরা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি। যেমন আজকে আমাদের যে কিনোট স্পিকার আছেন, উনি বিশ্বের অন্যতম একজন রিসার্চার এখন। সো আমরা এই বিষয়গুলো চাচ্ছি এভাবেই যেন আমরা আমাদের নিজেদের এবিলিটি দিয়ে আমরা যেন আমাদের নিজেদের জায়গা বিভিন্ন জায়গায় করে নিতে পারি। সেটা হচ্ছে আজকে আমাদের প্রোগ্রামের মূল উদ্দেশ্য। প্রিয় উপস্থিতি, আপনারা ইতিমধ্যে জেনেছেন যে আজকের প্রোগ্রামে আমাদের প্রধান আলোচক হিসেবে উপস্থিত আছেন ডক্টর সাইদুর রহমান স্যার। ওনার বিষয়ে আমরা শেষে আরো সুন্দরভাবে বলবো। এবং আজকে আমাদের সাথে আরো থাকছেন ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আলী তারেক স্যার, ইউনিভার্সিটি টেকনোলজি মালয়েশিয়া থেকে। তো আমি কথা বাড়াবো না। আজকে আমাদের মেহমান যারা রয়েছেন তাদের কাছ থেকে যেন কথা শুনে আমরা উপকৃত হতে পারি, সে বিষয়ে আমরা চেষ্টা করব। তো প্রিয় উপস্থিতি, আসলে আমি একটু বিষয়ে বলছি, যেহেতু আমরা বিএসইএম বা বিএসইপিএম দিয়ে আমাদের প্রোগ্রামটা শুরু করছি আমাদের মাধ্যমে। সো আমি একটু ব্রিফ দিচ্ছি বিএসইএম সম্পর্কে। বিএসইএম হচ্ছে মালয়েশিয়ায় যত ছাত্রছাত্রী পড়াশোনা করছেন সবাইকে নিয়ে একটা সংগঠন। আমরা এই সংগঠনের মাধ্যমে চেষ্টা করছি যারা দেশ থেকে এখানে এসে পড়াশোনা করছেন তাদেরকে যেন তাদের মেধা, মনন, যোগ্যতা সঠিকভাবে অর্জন করতে পারেন, করে যেন দেশকে বিশ্বের বুকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারেন। আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য একটাই। এবং আমরা এই বিএসএম এর মাধ্যমে বিশ্বের অন্যান্য দেশেও যারা পড়াশোনা করছেন, বাংলাদেশের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা, তাদের সাথে আমরা স্ট্রং কানেকশন রাখার চেষ্টা করছি। আপনার ইতিমধ্যে আমি বিএসএম এর আগের কাজগুলো বলবো না, জাস্ট আমরা এই বছর যে কাজগুলো করছি আপনাদের জ্ঞাতার্থে একটু বলছি আমি। তো আমরা এই বছর প্রথমেই বাংলাদেশের ছাত্রছাত্রী যারা আছেন সবাইকে নিয়ে আমরা একটা ইয়ুথ সামিটের আয়োজন করেছি। এখানে বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে স্পিকাররা ছিলেন এবং তাদের ক্যারিয়ারের জন্য আমি আশা করছি, বিশ্বাস করি আমরা যে অনেক গুরুত্বপূর্ণ ভূমিকা পালন করেছে আমাদের এই সামিট। আমরা আজকে যেমন শিক্ষামূলক কার্যক্রমের অংশ হিসাবে সেমিনার আয়োজন করেছি, আমরা ঠিক প্রতি মাসেই বেশ কয়েকটা প্রোগ্রামের আয়োজন করি এরকম, যেন আমরা আমাদের বাংলাদেশি স্কলারদের, ইয়াং স্কলার যারা আছেন বিশেষ করে, ওনারা যেন ওনাদের যোগ্যতা বা ওনাদের স্কিল ডেভেলপ করতে পারেন। তো এই বছর আমরা আরো যে কাজগুলো করেছি, আমরা বিভিন্ন দিবস পালন করেছি, যেমন এনটিভির সাথে আমরা একত্রে হয়ে ভাষা দিবস পালন করেছি। তারপরে এমএম লাইভের সাথে প্রবাসী গাঁও জীবনের গান, সেখানে আমরা কাজ করেছি মানে অর্গানাইজার হিসেবে। তারপরে বিভিন্ন শিক্ষা সফরের আয়োজন করে থাকি। আর সবচেয়ে বড় বিষয় যেটা হচ্ছে, আমরা এই দীর্ঘ লকডাউনে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের পাশে থাকার জন্য আমরা সর্বোচ্চ চেষ্টা করেছি, ফান্ড গঠন করেছি তাদের সহযোগিতা করার জন্য। যে প্রবলেম ফেস করেছে আমরা চেষ্টা করেছি আমাদের সাধ্য অনুযায়ী তাদের পাশে থাকার জন্য। কারণ অনেকেই ভালো ফ্যামিলি থেকে আসছে, বাট এই হঠাৎ করে এই সিচুয়েশন হওয়ার কারণে হয়তো অনেকেই সিচুয়েশনের সাথে খাপ খেয়ে নিতে পারেনি। তো আমরা চেষ্টা করেছি যাদের অর্থনৈতিক সমস্যা হয়েছে আমরা ব্যাকআপ দেওয়ার জন্য, বা মানসিকভাবে যারা সমস্যায় পড়েছে ব্যাকআপ দেওয়ার জন্য। ইভেন যে কোনো ধরনের সমস্যা আমরা চেষ্টা করি সবসময় ছাত্রছাত্রীদের পাশে থাকার জন্য। তো আপনারা জেনে আনন্দিত হবেন, আমি আরেকটা বিষয় বলছি যে আগামী মাসে আমরা একটা কনফারেন্সের আয়োজন করছি। আগামী মাসের 4-5 জুলাই 2020 আমরা ফ্রি করব একটা কনফারেন্স। এটা আপনারা যে যেখান থেকে অংশগ্রহণ করতে পারবেন। আশা করছি এটাও ক্যারিয়ারের জন্য অনেক বড় একটা কাজ হবে ইনশাআল্লাহ। তো সর্বশেষ যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আসলে আমরা বাংলাদেশি যে যেখানেই থাকি না কেন, আমরা যদি একটু দেশের কথা চিন্তা করি, আমরা যদি আমাদের জাতির কথা চিন্তা করি, তাহলে অবশ্যই আমাদের দেশের জন্য, জাতির জন্য ভাবা দরকার। সেই ভাবার বা ভাবনার অংশ থেকেই বা ভাবনা থেকে আমরা আজকের প্রোগ্রামটা আয়োজন করেছি, অনেক প্রোগ্রামে আয়োজন করে থাকি। আশা করছি সামনের দিনে যে প্রোগ্রামগুলো হবে ইনশাআল্লাহ আপনারা আমাদের পরামর্শ দেবেন, আমাদের পাশে থাকবেন। আমরা সবাই মিলে যেন আমাদের বা নিজেদের জাতিকে গঠন করতে পারি। আল্লাহ তৌফিক দান করুন। আজকে আমি আমার কথা এখানে শেষ করছি, সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি।
ধন্যবাদ আমাদের মাননীয় সভাপতি মোহাম্মদ জহিরুল ইসলামকে তার গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সংক্ষিপ্ত উদ্বোধনী আলোচনা রাখার জন্য। এবার আমরা মূল প্রোগ্রামে চলে যাব। মূল প্রোগ্রামে যাওয়ার আগে আবারও একবার মনে করাই দিচ্ছি যে যারা মিউট করা নেই প্লিজ মিউট করেন, জায়গা থেকে নয়েজ আসতেছে। আর আমাদের পার্টিসিপেন্ট সংখ্যা অলরেডি 162 জন হয়েছে। যদি 162 জনের মধ্যে থেকে 10% 16 জনের থেকেও যদি নয়েজ আসে তাহলে আমাদের প্রোগ্রামটা করা খুবই টাফ হয়ে যাবে। সো আমি প্লিজ অনুরোধ করবো সবাই একটু মিউট করবেন। ওকে, তাহলে এবারে আমরা মূল আলোচনায় প্রথমে যে আলোচনা, সেই আলোচনার আমি আলোচককে পরিচিত করাই দিব। আলোচক হচ্ছেন আমাদের তিনি বাংলাদেশের ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে অনার্স মাস্টার্স করছিলেন। এরপর ক্যামব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটি, বিশ্ববিখ্যাত ক্যামব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে এমফিল করেছেন। জাপানের শিগা ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে পিএইচডি সম্পন্ন করে এবং বাংলাদেশের বেশ কয়েকটি ইউনিভার্সিটিতে বিভিন্ন মেয়াদে লেকচারার হিসেবে কাজ করেছেন। এখন তিনি আছেন আমাদের মালয়েশিয়ায় ইউনিভার্সিটি টেকনোলজি মালয়েশিয়া ইউটিএম, এই ইউটিএম এ তিনি কর্মরত রয়েছেন। আমাদের স্যার ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আলী তারেক স্যার, তিনি আজকে আমাদের সামনে আলোচনা রাখবেন আমাদের রিসার্চ আর্টিকেল লেখার জন্য যে ইনফরমেশন যে সার্চ করা লাগে, সেই সার্চিং যে স্ট্র্যাটেজি সেটা কি হবে সেটার উপর। তো আমি অনুরোধ জানাচ্ছি স্যারের নির্দিষ্ট টপিকের উপর আলোচনা শুরু করার জন্য।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবাই।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
ইনামুল, আমাকে মনে হয় স্ক্রিন শেয়ার পারমিশনটা দিতে হবে।
আচ্ছা জহির ভাই একটু স্ক্রিন শেয়ার অপশনটা
আপনি দিতে পারছেন না?
আমি না, আমাকে ডিসেবল করে রাখা হয়েছে।
এনামল ভাই দিতে পারছেন কি?
আচ্ছা দেখো তো এটা কি হচ্ছে আমার যেটা হচ্ছে
না, আমি অপশন দেখতে পাচ্ছি না আমার ক্ষেত্রে।
অর্গানাইজার কে মনে হয় করতে হবে।
স্যার ভাই জহির ভাই
এইটা যে যার আইডি সে পারবে শুধু।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
এটা টেইলরস ইউনিভার্সিটির একজনের আইডি, যে টেইলরস ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে ইয়া করছে, ওকে বলো।
আমি এনামল ভাইকে হোস্ট করে দিচ্ছি, আপনি দেখেন হোস্ট করে দিলে পারেন কিনা। এনামল ভাই দেখেন
সরাসরি স্যারকে কিছুক্ষণের জন্য হোস্ট করে দিলে তারপর স্যার পরে আমাদেরকে দিলেন।
স্যারকে হোস্ট করে দিই, তাই তো?
স্যার আপনি
আমাকে হোস্ট করলে ঠিক
থাকেন
হ্যাঁ, এনামল ভাই
কিছুক্ষণের জন্য, তারপর আলোচনা শেষ পর্যন্ত, তারপর আমাদেরকে হোস্ট করে দিলেই হবে স্যার।
আপনি স্যারকে হোস্ট করে দেন এবার।
আপনি করছেন?
না, আমি আপনাকে করেছি, আপনি স্যারকে করে।
জি স্যার, আমি আপনাকে হোস্ট করলাম আপনার আলোচনা চলাকালীন সময়ের জন্য।
ঠিক আছে, দেখছি।
জি স্যার। জি স্যার, উই ক্যান সি নাও।
ওকে, সো কিছু মনে হয় ওয়েটিং এ আছে, আমি তাহলে সবাইকে অ্যাডমিট করে দিচ্ছি নাকি?
ওকে, নো প্রবলেম স্যার, আমরাও অ্যাডমিট করতে পারবো। আপনি আপনার আলোচনা চালিয়ে যেতে পারেন, আমরা হয়তো অ্যাডমিট করে দেব, সমস্যা নেই।
ওকে, কোনো সমস্যা নেই।
অ্যাডমিট করার সাথে সাথে কাইন্ডলি মিউট করে দিবেন, তাইলে সুবিধা হবে, তাহলে নয়েজ আসতেছে।
জি।
সো সবাই মনে হয় আমার স্ক্রিন দেখতে পাচ্ছে, তাই না?
হ্যাঁ, দেখতে পাচ্ছি, আপনার স্ক্রিনটা আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
ওকে, আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবাই। আমি ডক্টর তারেক, আমি আছি এখন ইউটিএম এ। আমার ইউটিএম এ অলমোস্ট, আচ্ছা আমার স্ক্রিন কি দেখতে পাচ্ছে কেউ? আমি বুঝেছি।
জি জি
দেখতে পাচ্ছি প্রেজেন্টেশন।
জি আপনার স্ক্রিন দেখা
জি স্যার, দেখা যাচ্ছে।
Sir, I have a suggestion. As there are participants of different languages, maybe some from Malaysia and from India. If you conduct the full session in English, it will be very beneficial to all.
Okay, no problem. That will be better for me as well.
I think that's my view as well.
That would be my.
मेरे कुछ नहीं ऐसे होते डिस्कस करने पड़ते हैं.
Okay, so I'm having some trouble. Okay, it's okay. Good morning, everyone. So it's actually really a nice opportunity for every one of us to be here, and it's really actually I'm feeling a bit very much happy to know that we have participants other than from Bangladesh as well, and actually not from Bangladesh, Bangladeshis as well. So I hope whatever we will be discussing today will be very beneficial for all of us. Actually, we also have Saidur Rahman Bhai. So he is actually an expert in this area. It seems like I am the, in Bengali, in Bangla, what we say is parar band, means when there is a big band or performers coming on. So there are some bands from that locality who performs to warm up the audiences. So I will be doing that before Saidur Rahman Bhai takes over in half an hour or so. Okay. So what I was requested to do, I want to cross check again. Can you see my slideshow, or you also can see the?
Yes.
Yes
sir. Yes sir.
Oh, the main presentation, right?
Yes sir. We can
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Maybe you can put the slide share.
Yeah, I am doing that, but I probably having some trouble. Just
You can use mouse.
Yeah, I'm
computer
doing
button.
that. Yeah, I'm doing that.
Sir, we are seeing your full screen, not the,
Now,
Now it's okay.
yeah.
now it's
Right.
yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, so it's okay now, right?
স্যার একটু আগে শুধু আপনার মেইন স্লাইডটা দেখা যাচ্ছিল, এখন আপনার আবার আগের মতো করে সবগুলো স্লাইডই দেখা যাচ্ছে। মেইন স্লাইডটাকে ফোকাস করি।
Oh,
স্লাইড শেয়ারিং এ ক্লিক করেন।
স্লাইড শেয়ারই করা আছে।
একটু আগে
আবার
ঠিক
click
ছিল
করেন।
স্যার, মাঝখানে।
এখন ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ,
জি
এখন
স্যার, এখন ঠিক আছে।
Okay.
পারফেক্ট।
Okay. So I will be talking about more about like some basic issues in information searching that we face or we should be careful about before we start our research. Okay, so and I will have only about 30 minutes or so, 29 minutes to be precise. So actually explaining about the information searching within this short time actually is very difficult. So I will just touch up on some of the most important or crucial aspects or areas that we should be careful about when we start our research and when we are planning to publish. Okay, so now the first thing is, what actually is our focus? Why are we planning to publish? Are we planning to increase our number of publication, or we actually are planning for our career advancement? Okay, so these are the two main things that we have to decide before we actually start our research. Okay, so if we want to just publish just for increasing the number of publication, so we can just write and publish any paper. So excuse me, I'm having a cough now. So we actually will not be worried about the quality of the paper. So we just focus on the quantity. Then we do not need to do much of search. We can just write anything and we can easily send to some journals that I will show you later on. Okay, but if we are planning to focus on our career advancement, so we have to be very careful about where we are publishing those research. So when we are talking about the career advancement, so we have to be very careful about what actually are we planning to do. Okay, so means where should we publish? So are we planning to publish for the career advancement? So in that case, we have to make sure that we search our paper or journal and we prepare our paper accordingly. So when we are, the first step is we have to check what has been done until now, what I have written as recent advancement. Then I have to check which journal that is suitable for that paper that I'm planning to write on. That is actually even before you start drafting your paper. So if you write the paper and then you are trying to match the journal, then it will be very difficult for you, because sometimes you might need to make a lot of changes in that case to fit your write-up to the target journal. Okay, so then after you check the journal and you already know what has been done until now in your research area, you actually can start writing or drafting the paper, and then you are ready to submit it to the journal. But remember, you have to make sure that you actually know the journal requirements. So if you do not know the journal requirements, you will be in trouble again, because if you submit the paper without following their guidelines, their requirements, so then they will keep on rejecting or sending you back the paper for you to revise and update. Always remember, the abstract writing or presentation or the way you, or the template for abstract or format for the abstract is different from journal to journal. Okay, sometimes it differs from publishers to publishers as well. So you have to be very careful what you are talking about. And when we actually are doing all this, we actually are talking about the quality of the publication. Okay, so can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Because I cannot see anyone, so I do not know whether everyone is understanding me what I'm talking about or not. Okay.
Doctor, we are understanding everything.
So if when we are talking about, remember in the first slide I was talking about to increase the number of the publication, means we just write and publish. So there are some journals that actually can help us do that. Okay, those journals actually in academic terms are known as predatory journals. Okay, and then what actually are those predatory journals do? Sometimes not only that, like we have to be very careful, especially we are from the developing countries. So in the developing countries, there is a recent tendency to increase the number of publications so that we can put, or we can make our CV a thick one. Okay, so if we do that, and if we're focusing on that, we actually are like what's called sacrificing the quality of the write-up or quality of our publication. That will hamper in your future career development. So what actually are the predatory journals? So that predatory journals actually, they exploit the academicians because they are focusing more on their revenue generation. So how do they do that? They actually charge for publication. And there are the good journals, there are two things which is known as open access and non-open access. I hope most of you know the difference between open access and non-open access. So open access means like you do not need to pay to download or read the full text of the paper. So what is the benefit of publishing in open access journal is we have more citations. Okay, so that actually we need another discussion, so we do not have much time to discuss more in detail on that. So for the predatory journals, they actually charge money for the researchers, to the researchers to publish the papers in that journal. And those journals actually are not of good quality. So why we need to publish in a good quality journal? Because what we are focusing on in the future, like you can see Saidur Rahman Bhai already has more than 22% Scopus citation. So if his publications were in not in a poor quality journal, actually not many people will read those journals or read those papers. So if people do not read your paper, and then they will not cite your paper, so your citation will not be good. So we have to be very careful. Another thing that we have to be very careful is self-citation. So you might be happy to see your name cited by you in your other papers, but if there is a consequent what's called like successive research, then you can cite your previous research article. But if it is not a continuous one, always try to avoid your self-citation. Okay, so let's see what are the how we can trace those predatory journals to keep us safe from predatory publication. Okay, so I have listed down different characteristics that you will see for the predatory journals. So I will ask Enamul and others to share my slide with you. So later on you can go through with this, and I have my email address over there, so you can feel free to contact me anytime. Okay. So these are some of the characteristics that you can see for our predatory journals. Okay. I think a lot of you receive this kind of emails for publication, for call for paper, right? So this is one of the emails that I have received in on June 10. So you can see everyone, because sometimes my students says especially after presenting a paper in a conference, they receive so many invitation or call for papers for their research to be published with them. So they actually get confused. So I always tell them, okay, I will tell them, I will show you what I tell them later on, okay? Because I have another slide for that. And then in this email, you actually can see a lot of red flags. Okay, look at the email that was sent from, like it was sent from iCloud. And then a lot of things, the paper that you need to submit on the lower right is in a Gmail address. So these are some of the red flags that you should be careful about in submitting the paper. Again, for some journals, you will see very lucrative web page for those publishers or for those journals, and seeing those web pages, and sometimes those web pages are very similar to Q1, Q2 ranked journals, but we have to be very careful and we have to read through their web pages for details. So I have put up some flags so that you can look at. Most of the time when you see a journal is published monthly, very careful about choosing those journals. Check whether those journals are legitimate or not. Okay, then again, look at the indexing. If you look at the indexing, I think you already know about indexing system. So this journal actually is indexed in Scopus. At the same time, you can see that this journal is monitored by Social Science Citation Index. Actually, Social Science Citation Index, they do not monitor. They actually index whether, I will show you that what they index. So this is under Clarivate Analytics, Social Science Citation Index. So they have different types of indexing and ranking system. So they monitor, but not in this way. Okay, so if they monitor any journal for the quality, it can be either under SSCI for Social Science Citations indices, Science Citation Index for the what's called like the engineering subjects or engineering papers. CPCI will be for conference proceedings citation index. But if there are some journals, those are actually good but not yet too good to give an impact factor, they put them under ESCI. ESCI stands for Emerging Sources Citation Index. So I will show you later on in the next slide, in another slide, what actually how it works. Okay, so remember, this session is on what how we should do or go for information sharing, but information searching. But before we go for information searching, we have to be very careful what we are searching for. Okay. Now, I have already given you a link to find the predatory journals and predatory publishers. So you later on, when you get this handout, you actually can go through and check the journals by yourself, and you can decide where to publish or not. Okay. And this, remember, this list keeps on changing depending on the maintenance of the quality by the publishers. Now, when actually we are planning to submit a paper, it starts with preparation, right? So as I have told you before, on the left side, you can see that from preparation to submission. Sorry, I am having a sore throat suddenly. So when we are talking about the preparation and submission, in between, it's a huge task. If you look at the right side, I have put that search, check, and decide. So you can see preparation and submission, actually two simple steps, but in between, you have to make sure that you actually follow and you are ready to submit in that particular good quality journal. Okay. Next slide, I will be talking about like journal matrices and ranking. So where should I publish? So remember, journal ranking and journal matrices means these two are two different things. Matrices means it shows you, it gives you some idea on the journal's indexing and journal's quality. Okay, it shows you how many citations are there. It shows you how many times that journal has, or that paper has been read by others when the journal or paper has been published. So means when we're talking about journal matrices, we actually can look more detail in individual papers. Maybe I can say that journal matrices focuses more on micro aspect of the quality. And when we are talking about the ranking, it actually more broader thing. It talks about the quality of the journal itself. Means, for example, if I'm talking about, my major is finance, so and now I'm researching on innovation management and patent. That's why you probably see that I'm heading one of the patent labs, intellectual property labs. So when actually you are talking about the journal ranking, it will give you which quarter the journal is in. Especially if I'm talking about the Clarivate Analytics, Web of Science, which was before it was ISI, International Scientific Indexing, but now they have changed their name to Web of Science, so which is under Clarivate Analytics. So before it was under Thomson Reuters. So what they did, just for example, if there are 100 papers, 100 journals in finance or focusing on the finance, so they divided that 100 into 4 levels, 4 groups. The first group, the top group, top 25% is Q1. The bottom 25% is Q4. So Q3 and 4 actually is ranked, but quality differs. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you are selecting the journal from Q3 or Q4. Now, Scopus has also started this kind of what's called ranking through Schema Go. So I will show you that slide as well. Okay, I'm really sorry I cannot take any questions at the moment because we do not have much time. So later on, if you have any queries, so you can always feel free to send an email to me. Now, as I was talking about the indexing, the two most prominent indexing system is Scopus and Web of Science. Okay, so when we are planning to publish any paper, if we are looking for indexing and quality of the journal as well as quality of any paper that we will be citing, so we should check with either with Scopus or Web of Science. Okay, so it's actually these two are two different indexing systems. So not all Scopus paper are on Web of Science. Not all Web of Science indexed paper is also indexed by Scopus. So you have to be very careful, and I always suggest my and advise my students to check both of the indexing sites and then to compare. Okay, so Scopus is one. So this is the landing page for Scopus. So for Scopus, to have a proper search, you should have an account with them. It can be through your institutes, or it can be your personal account if you can register for that. Then, as I was talking about the journal ranking under Scopus, so for Web of Science, Clarivate Analytics, they do the ranking of the journal by themselves. But for Scopus, schemagojr.com or this Schemago institution, they actually rank the Scopus journal for Scopus. So if you are focusing on looking at the ranking of the journal, so you should check this also. And remember, some of the journal actually might have different focus area. Means if you check later on, you will see that the one journal has its area in nutrition as well as in natural science. So it will always be better to check both the ranking of that same journal, because some country they consider if the journal is ranked in 2 subject areas. So the top universities, Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, or top universities, they take the low rank for that particular journal. So, but for the developing countries and not other normal institutes, they actually consider the higher ranked area for their institutional purposes. Okay, so you have to be very careful, and that ranking or adaptation of that ranking changes depending on the institutional policies. So always check with your institution. Okay. Now, as I was talking about the Web of Science, you can see that Web of Science has core collection, like the one on the top, SCEI, SSCI, and AHCI. So these are 3 main focus area, the Web of Science core collection. So core collections actually are in those journals are indexed under social science indexing or science indexing or arts and humanities indexing system. But in the lower part of the circle, you can see there is another thing which is known as ESCI, that what I have discussed about some time ago. So this ESCI, actually is very important for us to check now, because some of the journals has the potential but not yet fully comply with the quality of the journals to be in the core collection. So we have to be very careful. We have to see and select carefully. Okay, and then remember, there is always a 2-way path. Some journal goes from ESCI to core collection and some comes down. So you have to be up to date with the indexing system. Okay, because that carries your what's called value in your future career development. Okay, so this actually is the what's called like the master journal list for Clarivate Analytics. So you actually can download this the list and check according to your subject area. They have an Excel file, so you can download that, or else you actually can search it your journal name here as well. And remember, recently Clarivate has the option for your journal matching. sorry, they call it, I cannot recall exactly, probably manuscript matching. So what you can do after you draft your abstract, you can copy paste that on the on that web page, and there will be some suggestion provided by Clarivate Analytics depending on the abstract that you have submitted. Okay, so those are these needs actually detailed discussion, so we do not have much time. I have only 5 minutes, so I will run faster. Now, what I have been talking about so far, indexing and ranking, these two are not repository. You will not find the full paper on Scopus or Web of Science. So this Web of Science and Scopus, actually they will guide you to see which paper or which journal that you should focus on. But for that, to get the paper, you have to go to that journal web page and download that paper from there. Okay, if time permits, so I can just show you that after some time. Okay. Now, remember I told you before, I've told you before that I will tell you what you should be careful about. Okay, remember, the top journals, they never will email to you to publish with them, like the email that I have shown to you, because the top journals, they receive so many papers every year. Their acceptance rate is sometimes below 5% as well. And back in 2013, or not 2013, 2011. So in 2011, I had one of my paper that actually they send it back to me in 2 hours, because they did not even send the paper to the reviewer because of the quality, maybe because at that time I was also doing my PhD. I was not, we were not that good in research at that time. I'm not good now, but still now, but at that time it was very difficult to write the papers, and especially the way you get the information now. Back at that time, like getting the information or the papers were not that easy. Okay. Always what's called, like, always check the journal web page at the board of the who are the members of the editorial board, and they are indexing and ranking. Okay, so as I have put my last word, that when in doubt, always check. So that is my last word for this. I am not sure whether I will be able to take any question or not, but Enamul, should I show them the landing page or of the
স্যার আপনি একটু আনমিউট করবেন, সবাইকে একটু মিউট করা হয়েছে তো মনে হয়, একটু আনমিউট যদি আপনি নিজেকে করতেন।
ও ওকে,
জি স্যার এখন ওকে। জি স্যার अगेन প্লিজ।
আমার লাস্ট ওয়ার্ডটা কি ছিল, কোনটা, কতটুকু শুনতে পারছো তুমি?
আমি শুনতে পাইনি এক্স্যাক্টলি।
না, কতটুকু কোথায় ছিল লাস্ট? ওকে, আমি পরে জিজ্ঞেস করছি তোমাকে।
আমি কিছু একটা বলছিলাম।
হ্যাঁ, ও তোমাকে আমি কিছু বলছিলাম। হ্যাঁ, মানে আমি what I was saying to you, asking to you actually, I have only 1 minute because it's already 11:44.
Oh, okay. So you can take another 5 minutes, I guess.
Okay, so if that is the case, maybe I will change the share into my screen one. So I will show the landing page for the search. Okay, now Enamul, can you see the Web of Science and Scopus?
Web of Science, yeah.
Okay. So these two actually are the most, there are other indexing, other search engines. So, but for better quality, we should focus on these two, Scopus and Web of Science. Okay, so when we are talking about the Scopus, so this will be the landing page if you go to the Scopus web page. And then you can do a lots of different types of searches. This is just like Google search engine, but in a structured way. Okay, So just for example, if I try to search on coronavirus, for example, I'm trying to search the documents. I can do the author search. So I have to put the name in author. So my keyword now is coronavirus. And we can also select what actually should we be searching on. So there are different options you can find from the drop down menu. So then if you go for search, so you can actually get, we can get actually 31,551 documents that actually has research on coronavirus. Okay, so then we actually can what's called arrange our search results depending on how we want to see it. So we can arrange it according to the recent ones or the old ones. We can arrange it by the highly cited one, or we can actually on the left panel, from the left panel, you actually can refine your search. Okay, so if you want to refine your search, maybe we do not have much time now, so you can play with this back at home also. Okay, so maybe this session, and if you need any advice, so feel free to contact me anytime. Same as for the Web of Science. So if you try to search the coronavirus, and remember, I have selected the search to the core collection because I want more quality journals for my research. Okay, so you have to be very careful and outline your focus first. You can actually refine your search as well. So if you search, you can also see different number of different types of papers. You can actually refine within this list as well. So depending on your research area. Okay. We actually also can do, for example, if you want to do author search, so we can do author search. Maybe I am not sure. I do not know. I'll search about myself. So I do not have many papers, but so if you can do the author search as well. Okay, so if you do the author search, so you can actually go more in detail. So you can see which areas that I have been working on. Oh, sorry, I moved into the university, so I should have gone here. So in this way, you actually can what's called like do detailed search about some researchers as well. Okay, so I will advise you just to play with these two Web of Science and Scopus when you have some time. Okay, and what should I say is like the most important thing is actually before you start your research, make sure you conduct the search properly. Okay, so this I think I should stop here because I have only 1 minute left. Okay, so thank you everyone, and also thank you BSUM for organizing this kind of this event, and also thank you for inviting me just to share a bit of my experiences. Okay, so I give it
summary করে দিলে ভালো হয় একটু summary করে
summary. Okay, the important thing is okay. Sorry, I should show you one thing, because I was planning. I just saw the slide and I remembered that. When you remember, I have told you this Web of Science and Scopus actually is not a repository. It is an indexing page, right? So after we conduct the search, we actually have this, but we cannot find the paper from here. So we have to go to that journal page to find the paper from there. Okay, just for example, because going to journal pages are different for both of these. So for the Scopus, you have to click in this. Remember, I have told you some papers are open access, some are not. So if it is written open access, it means you actually can freely download this. Okay, so if you just click on this view at publisher, it will direct you to the journal's publisher's web page. So once you go there, you actually can download the PDF from there. So this is about this is for the Scopus, but for Web of Science, you need to click on this title of the paper. So once you click on the title of the paper, so you will get to this page. This is an indexing page excuse me, by Clarivate Analytics. Okay, so from here, then you have to go to download the paper. So this is the new web page. The download the paper is somewhere here. Free full text from the publisher. Before it was here. So now they have it here. Okay, so there are different ways of getting the paper. If you have the institutional access, you can actually go to the journal page directly and you can download it, the papers that you need from there also. But if I want to summarize, when actually you are planning to publish a paper, so decide what your focus is, quantity or quality. Okay, so as most of you are the new researchers, so quality papers actually take longer time to publish. Okay, especially if you are in social science. I am in social science. One of my paper is under review for 9 months. Okay, and another one we had about 8 months. Then they asked us to revise some of the things. We revised and send it back to them again. So it's already 2 months already. So 7 plus 2 is already 9 months for another paper. Sometimes some of the quality paper in social science, especially in finance, it takes 2.5 years to 3 years. Okay, remember, if you have one quality paper in Q1 or top journal in Q2 for finance, then you have achieved something. Okay, so what I always say to my students, because I have students who always wants to publish. It seems they want to publish, send a paper every week for publication or every month for publication. But I always make sure that they publish not in the predatory journal first, but in some journals to maybe Q3 or lower category of Q2, just to make sure that they have fulfilled their what's called like the requirements for graduation for the PhD. Because after the graduation, you have lot of time to revise and update your paper, and then you can submit in the good quality journals. Okay, but for engineering area, you actually can get the good quality publication much faster, because they're unlike the social science papers, the paper is not too broad and they already have some experiments So it is much easier for them to explain and prove. But for social science, there are different theories, and maybe your reviewer might come from a different school of thought. So you have to have patience. And when you are planning to submit, make sure you do your search properly. Okay, so decide where you want to submit, prepare the paper, submit, and then have patience. Okay, and do not keep on knocking the editor for the result, for the review result, because that sometimes pisses them off. Okay, so because that is a voluntary service from the reviewer or from the editors. So if your paper is good, it will obviously have some good review, and so you will have a higher probability of what's called like higher probability of publication. Okay, so with this, I hope it summarizes what I have discussed for the last 36 minutes. And I have my email address. I have I will request the organizer to share the slides with you. So you will get my email address over there. So if you feel that you can contact, if you feel that you want to contact me regarding something, so just feel free to do that. Okay, so with that, I give the floor to the organizer now. Okay, so I will stop my sharing.
আমাদের ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আলী তারেক স্যারকে তার সংক্ষিপ্ত অথচ গুরুত্বপূর্ণ আলোচনা রাখার জন্য। আমি আবারও বলছি যে আমাদের আসলে স্যাররা এর আগেও বলছিলেন যে ইনফরমেশন সার্চিং এর যে স্টাইলটা, সেটাকে স্মার্টলি হ্যান্ডেল করার জন্য কিভাবে আমরা স্মার্টলি হ্যান্ডেল করতে পারি, এটার জন্য বড় একটা সেশন হতে পারে। ওটার জন্যই 1 ঘন্টা 2 ঘন্টার একটা টক হতে পারে। সো এটা একেবারেই এনাফ নয়। আমরা চাচ্ছিলাম যে সবাইকে উদ্বুদ্ধ করা, সবাইকে একটু টাচ দেয়া। তো আমরা এখন যে আমরা স্লাইড গুলো সেগুলো আমরা আপনাদেরকে শেয়ার করব ইমেইলের মাধ্যমে। তবে আমাদের আবার কথা থাকলো যে আপনারা নিজেরা আরেকটু সার্চ করেন, আরো সুন্দরভাবে ট্রাই করেন। আমার মনে হচ্ছে যে আপনারা অনেক কিছু জানতে পারবেন, এবং যদি আমরা ভালো সাড়া পাই, হতেও পারে যে আমরা পরবর্তীতে এগুলোর উপর আলাদা আলাদা সেশন করবো ইনশাল্লাহ। তো স্যার যেভাবে বলছিলেন যে আমাদের আমরা সার্চ করতে পারি, কিন্তু মেইন যে বিষয়টা পাবলিশ করার জন্যই তো সবকিছু। এখন পাবলিশ করতে গিয়ে স্যার যেমন বললেন যে কোয়ান্টিটি শুধুমাত্র নয়, আমাদের কোয়ালিটিতে ফোকাস করতে হবে। সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কিভাবে আসলে একটু ভালো কোয়ালিটির রিসার্চ আর্টিকেল লিখতে পারি, সায়েন্টিফিক পেপার লিখতে পারি, তো এই বিষয়ে আমাদের একজন যদি থাকেন এমন কেউ যে ভালো গাইডলাইন দিতে পারেন, তাহলে মনে হয় আমাদের জন্য একটু সহজ হতো। তো আমি আমাদের এবারের যে আলোচক তার সম্পর্কে একটু বলি যে 2014 থেকে 19 সাল পর্যন্ত টানা 6 বছর মালয়েশিয়ায় ওয়ান অফ দ্য বেস্ট স্কলার, ওনার রিসার্চ আর্টিকেল সহ রিসার্চ ফিল্ডে অবদানের জন্য তিনি সরকারিভাবে অ্যাওয়ার্ড প্রাপ্ত, এবং আলহামদুলিল্লাহ তিনি একজন বাংলাদেশি। সো তার নাম হচ্ছেন প্রফেসর ডক্টর সাইদুর রহমান। তিনি এর আগে বিভিন্ন ইউনিভার্সিটিতে কাজ করেছেন। তিনি কিং ফাহাদ ইউনিভার্সিটি ছিলেন, ইউনিভার্সিটি মালয়েশিয়াতে দীর্ঘদিন প্রফেসর হিসেবে ছিলেন, এখন তিনি আছেন সানোয়ার ইউনিভার্সিটি। সো আমি এখন অনুরোধ জানাবো প্রফেসর ডক্টর সাইদুর রহমান স্যারকে তার নির্দিষ্ট টপিক, অর্থাৎ গাইডলাইন্স টু রাইট হাই কোয়ালিটি সায়েন্টিফিক পেপারস এন্ড ইমপ্রুভ সাইটেশন ইম্প্যাক্ট, এই টপিকের উপর আলোচনা রাখার জন্য আমি ফ্লোর দিচ্ছি প্রফেসর ডক্টর সাইদুর রহমান স্যারকে। এবং একটা নোট, স্যার তারেক স্যার প্লিজ একটু আপনি যদি সাইদুর রহমান স্যারকে হোস্ট বানাই দিতেন তাহলে ভালো হতো। থ্যাংক ইউ।
এনামুল ভাই একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করি,
জি
1 মিনিট ভাই। সবাইকে যদি একটু মিউট করে দেন, লেকচারের মধ্যে প্রচুর পরিমাণে ডিস্টার্ব হয় আসলে। মিউট করার পর কেউ পার্সোনালি আনমিউট করতে পারবে না, ওই অপশনটা একটু উঠাই নিয়েন, তাহলে মনে হয় যে নির্বিঘ্ন লেকচারটা হবে।
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। আচ্ছা, পরামর্শের জন্য
এনামুল, আমি ওয়েব ভার্সন ইউজ করতেছি, এখানে শেয়ার স্ক্রিন পার্টিসিপেন্টস।
স্যার ওই আমার উপর বা স্যারের উপর ক্লিক
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ,
করে
ওটাই।
ওখানে অপশন থাকবে স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, আমি সাইদুর ভাইকে খুঁজছি।
হ্যাঁ, যে তাকে হোস্ট বানিয়ে দিলে হবে।
হ্যাঁ।
আর যারা কো-হোস্ট আছেন এই পরামর্শটাকে সুন্দরভাবে নেওয়ার জন্য অনুরোধ রইল। স্যারকে দেওয়ার পর প্রথম মিউট করে তারপর স্যারকে শুধু আনমিউট করুন, বাকিটা মিউটে থাকবে।
সাইদুর স্যারকে হচ্ছে হোস্ট,
সাইদুর রহমান
ভাইকে হোস্ট করার জন্য অনুরোধ করতেছিলাম আর কি স্যার একটু।
জি, এবং স্যারকে অনুরোধ জানাবো, সাইদুর স্যারকে আমাকে একটু পোস্ট যদি রাখা যায়।
জি জি
ওকে, আমি এনামুলকে ওকে সাইদুর ভাইয়ের সাথে আমার এখনো দেখা হয়নি পার্সোনালি, তো আমি সাইদুর ভাইকে
জি স্যার মানে হয়ে গেছেন। জি
হ্যাঁ হয়ে গেছে না? আচ্ছা, আমি এনামুল তোমাকে ইয়ে করে দিচ্ছি। না, আমি এখন নেই মনে হয়।
আর মনে হয় আপনি নেই। জি
সাইদুর ভাইকে একটু কষ্ট করে করতে হবে।
ওকে, ধন্যবাদ।
Can you see my slides?
So far we can see only the window, sir.
You can see only window, right?
Yes, sir.
Cannot see the slide.
Not yet. We can see the list of slides, but not the exact slide.
Please be patient for a while.
Okay, no problem.
Can you see now?
Yes, it's working now.
You can see the slides, right? This is most important thing. Then I will start my talking. You can see the first slide, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon already. Thank you very much, organizing committee, for organizing this such an wonderful event. I think this is something practical aspect that you gain as a leadership skill, organization skill, communication skill, and most importantly, I think you are doing a great job for service to the Bangladeshi community, research community. I think that is the most important thing you have done. So I really congratulate you. I salute you for this wonderful event. Thank you, Brother Tarek, for sharing some of the useful informations as well. I think in a brief way, you have addressed most of the things. Now, I think participants, you have to do your homework. This is my style. I always learn something from the lecture, and then I do my homework. That's the best way. So as you studied in duet, and so. I think you have to learn your universal learning style. So it's not only lecturer can give you each and everything. And challenging thing is that this 1 hour actually will not be that much. Normally, my talk is normally not less than 2 hours. As you know, if I talk fast, you can't listen properly, you can't understand, it is not effective. But again, my brother Anamul Haq mentioned that this is something like maybe some smell or some knowledge sharing, at least to understand, to shed the light in this area. Okay, yeah, so now
small thing.
Can you hear?
Can I say something, sir? Yeah, yes, sir. We can hear, but sir, আপনি যদি ক্যামেরাটা আরেকটু নিচে করতেন, আপনাকে আরো সুন্দরভাবে দেখা যেত।
Actually, this is my desktop. It will be difficult. I cannot. Yeah, I cannot. So I need to maybe.
No problem, sir. আর পার্টিসিপেন্টদের জন্য আরেকটা স্যার ঘোষণাটা আমি বলে রাখি যে আমরা হয়তোবা আপনাদের অনুরোধ জানাবো, আপনাদের যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে প্লিজ আপনারা চ্যাট বক্স যেখানে আছে ওখানে প্রশ্নগুলো করুন, আমরা ওখান থেকে সিলেক্টেড প্রশ্নগুলো আমরা স্যারকে জিজ্ঞেস করব। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, প্লিজ প্রসিড অন।
Okay, I cannot raise my, because this is my desktop, it is very big screen. I think if laptop then I can change, but this one is not possible. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, basically as you know, I have spent almost 23 years in Malaysia, Saudi Arabia. So basically I will be sharing my experience. So it is full of my experience that will be shared with you. So let me start because time is very limited. But unfortunately, this 1 hour plus actually will not be enough. So I have to be quite fast in some slides. But those which slides are very important, need some special attention, I will be spending a little bit more time. And secondly, recently I gave a talk with UPM. I think it was almost 1,000 participants, and slides are already posted in the Facebook. So you can enjoy your all the slides. It is 2.5 hours. Details are, each and every details are there. I don't think I can give better presentation than that today. That I made earlier with the UPM. So today is very less time. So I have to be a little bit faster. So it might not be that effective, unfortunately, because of the time limitation. But again, we can organize. I think that I can request organizer to organize these types of event frequently on specific topics, only for citations, maybe only for writing good quality journals. Even it can be undergraduates only. So I can see also diverse groups of people here from different parts of the world, undergraduate, postgraduate, master's, PhD. So I'm also impressed with your participation. So hopefully this will be something useful. So let me move slowly about my presentation. As you can see, basically some of the tips on writing good quality. So as Brother Tariq also mentioned, quality is actually important. It is not the quantity. Quality, if you have good quality number, few good quality number of papers, I think that is most important. This is the reason we are giving the training. Actually not for any shortcut way to publish number of papers without going through peer review process, without ensuring the quality. That is not actually the purpose. As you know, I came from the BUET. As you know, it is very, very hard, and you also studied in some good universities, and it is very difficult task to ensure the quality. So quality is the keyword here. That's basically I'll be sharing. In the first slide, as you can see, when you want to publish a good quality journal, there are a number of barriers. So this might be your supervisor, this might be reviewer, this might be your co-author, this might be your collaborators, and so on. So once you pass this barricade, actually then you can enjoy. So it is not an easy task. As you can see, they are expert, they are peer reviewer. So it will not be an easy task for you to go through this process. But if you carefully listen my talks and also the what has been shared by Brother Tarek, I think it will help you to overcome some of the challenges. So first thing actually is the title is important because this will entice the potential readers to go through your papers. If it is attractive, if it is appealing, if it is relevant, then probably they will go into the deeper into the paper. They will read the abstract, they will read the introduction and other components of the paper, and as a result, the authors might use your paper. That is what we call the citation. Actually, whatever we are doing, if it is beneficial, if it is useful, then we should be proud for. So that's why the title should be something, as I mentioned here as a summary. It should be short, relevant to the subject matter, attract the reader's attention, be specific. So particularly avoid jargon and abbreviation. So normally in some specific areas, for example, mathematical areas and biological areas, you put a lot of jargon. Actually, this will distract the potential reader. So all those jargon abbreviations actually you can put in the nomenclature, not in the title. So because this will only you or your specific participants or audience will be able to read. So as a result, you lose some potential participants. So this is my experience, how I developed the title with my master's PhD students and collaborators. So you have done the work, you know the work, let's say you did it for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So you know the overall content. From overall content, you take 8 to 10 keywords. Of course, there will be strong keywords, there will be weak keywords. So from the this 8 to 10 keywords, you eliminate those which are weak. And then from the strong keyword, you form a title. Of course, it will not be perfect. Then again, you discuss with your team members, collaborators, with your supervisors. And when you feel confident, you feel happy, and then you go with the title. Okay, finalize the title. This is how I do. So I ask normally 3 titles from my students, collaborators, and then from there, then I can see which one will be the most potential, since I'm also engaged with the work. So I can I can rewrite, I can tune, and then this is how we finalize the title. And so far, normally there is no comments about the title in most cases. But because of title, your paper will not be rejected. So this one I can ensure. So there will be rooms for improvement. Sometimes there will be some challenges, things also I'm sharing here as a brief. Sometimes you write it too long. So it is not encouraged to write a too long title, not attractive and appealing, contains jargon, too general, too specific, does not reflect the content. So normally this happens, it does not reflect the content. Those who are new, beginners, so you don't have enough training, you don't have enough experience. So this might happen. So that's why you check yourself. If you put all the things what I'm discussing here as a checklist, so you ask yourself, does the title reflect the content what I have already written in my whole paper? Okay, you ask yourself and make your own checklist. So this is how to form a good title. Some examples, as you can see, there are only 4 or 5 terms, so anyone can understand. So there is no mathematical jargon. It is concise, brief. So at least in our area and in some other areas also, they can understand that this title. This is quite catchy, interesting, and also another title. Also, this is also the paper you can download, and you can read also how to write good journal paper. This is published in Applied Energy, a guide to writing articles in energy science. Next important component after title is abstract. Actually, this is basically a summary of your work. So you have to bring some summarized, concise content from your whole paper. So the keyword is it should be short and precise. Should not contain details of experimental setup. So it should be 1 or 2 sentences. So in the previous slide, as I showed you the guide to write papers in energy science, actually it will tell you how much content should be from methodology and so on. So basically 1 or 2 sentences from each part of the paper. You should bring it here. And normally in the journal guideline, authors to guideline, actually you'll see there are restrictions. So if you restrict yourself, this will help you also to write a good abstract. So normally from 150 to 200 words, this will limit yourself also, because sometimes you write it too long, 300, 400 words. So again, this is strongly discouraged. So always follow the guidelines given in the authorship guideline. That will help you to restrict your paper. So it should be short, precise, should not have too much about the mathematical model or experimental setup and so on. So I'll put you some balance to how to write. So this is actually very important thing. Those who are experienced, those who are new, when you are writing your abstract. So my talk actually is not only for scientific writing. I think it will be useful for your undergraduate thesis, experimental setup, to write a proposal, to write your PhD and master's thesis. So because paper is a mini version and thesis is a bigger version or larger scale. So thesis normally, PhD thesis maybe 200, 300 pages, master thesis maybe 120. A paper is normally from 10 to 20 pages. So this is actually the smaller version. Thesis is the bigger version. So all content, actually the title, abstract, introduction, structure of paper will remain same. So if you pay your attention seriously here, sincerely here, and if you keep this as your checklist, I'm sure that this will help you to write a good abstract. So as you can see here, if you maintain your 150 to 200 words, so this is the way you can do. So you can see there are background information, there are objectives, there are method, there are results, conclusions. So there are components. So if you know the structured way, so you can make it balanced, you can write it in a proper way, in a proper structured way. So this will basically help you to write a good, well-structured, balanced abstract. So as you can see, there should be 1 or 2 sentences on background informations, 1 or 2 sentences on objectives, and there should be 1 or 2 sentences on methodologies. Since readers are more interested with the result and conclusion, so you see that there might be more interesting findings. Basically, result and conclusion should be the concrete findings. So again, don't put excessive things here. You can put a little bit more about the result and conclusions, but other part, I think it should be only a few sentences. So if you maintain in this way, so this will be well structured, balanced, and nice abstract. And in some publisher, particularly Emerald, actually they ask you to write your abstract in this way. So when I was doing my master's PhD, actually nobody taught me in structured way writing in this way. So that's why when you are not well trained, actually you will suffer. So as a result, paper will be rejected. There will be major correction. There will be some challenging comments. So I'm sure this will help you to write your abstract in a better way. So now I'm going to the main structure. Actually, this is called IMRAT. Those who are new, so this term you can keep in your mind, keep in your brain. Actually, this will help you to write always, to remind you actually what should be the structure. So if we eliminate abstract, title, and conclusion, actually these are the major part. First is the introduction, from where I stands for IMRAT, okay, and then is the method, M, R is the results, A is the end, and this discussion. So this is IMRAT stands for this I, M, R, A, N, A. So these are the major components of your paper. So this is called the structure. And whatever you are writing, your thesis, your paper, your report, I think you should follow this well-structured one. So if you go away with these things, actually you will be lost somewhere, particularly those who are new. Those who are experienced, you can convince, you can justify the reviewer, examiners, that should be okay. You can write your some other ways, but I strongly suggest you to follow this way, and then there will be less comments also from the reviewers, from the examiners, from your supervisors. Then next important component is the introduction. Is basically is why your work is important. So this basically will answer your question clearly known why your work is important. So need for the investigation. So these are the few keywords basically will tell you why this work is important, why this investigation is needed, and with up-to-date literature and specific objectives. And importantly, if you want to be a good scientist, good researcher, prolific researcher, my strong recommendation is that you try to address this point, the originality, uniqueness, novelty, how differs from others' work. If you are doing an undergraduate thesis and experimental work, it does not matter. You can reinvent the wheel. Novelty is not that important. But if you are going to publish in quality journal, that's what Brother Tariq mentioned, the Q1, Q2, high quality journal, then originality is very, very important. Even though I have published 700 journal conference papers in top ranking journals, even though I got a citation award, but despite that, my papers also rejected because of this marginal originality. So as you can see, originality addressing is very, very challenging. And before designing any projects, I think with your team, with your supervisor, you have to significantly spend your time to come out with this originality, novelty, uniqueness, how your work differs from others. So if you design a paper without a novelty and at the end you submit to somewhere and then you need to address the originality, I think that is something difficult for you. So I would suggest before doing anything, first you try to address what would be the novelty, originality. So this can be addressed by different ways. So you read some original paper, introduction part of original paper, some review paper, ask collaborators, ask your supervisor. Normally it should come from supervisors if students are new. So these are the ways to address the novelty, and I would strongly recommend that without strong novelty, it will be hard for you to publish, particularly in Q1, Q2 journals. Might be possible in conference, seminars, but not in Q1, Q2 journals. Okay, so please pay attention in this when you are designing your experiment, particularly how to address this novelty, how your work will be different from others, how is your work is unique from others. Okay, so this is very important. So again, to limit your page, so don't write it too long. So 4 typed pages and 2 single space should be enough. So don't write 8 pages introduction part, then it will be again major corrections. So these are again the structured way, again based on my experience. So it should contain some background and motivational informations, objectives and scopes should be there, because objectives, your aim, purpose, goal. So what you are going to do, this should be very clearly mentioned in the last paragraph of the introduction part. Again, as I mentioned, the problem statement, novelty. So this must be very clearly identified, and I will show you how to address the novelty, how to write the novelty in a clear way. This is based on my experience. And latest relevant references. I think this is very important for scientific publications. So I understand some of you are from colleges, research institutions, those which are not subscribed that scientific databases, for example, Elsevier, Springer, Nature. So you face difficulties, but that is actually the purpose of collaboration. If you put your references, say, obsolete in 1980, all our books, not latest, relevant, so then there will be major correction and ultimately paper will be rejected. So what I mean, the latest relevant, actually latest is for last 5 years. So now we are 2020, so since 2015 should be the major content. You can put a few papers, 1980, 1970, if relevant, only few, 1 or 2. And also which are not peer reviewed. So that's why the journal publication conference, this should be the priority. And there should have some application. It might depend on some field, but in science and engineering, I think application is important. Without application, particularly we face difficulties to publish in good quality journals. So you have to highlight also where your work will be applied, where it will be utilized, where it will be useful. So now this is again how to write good objectives. So sometimes you dream, maybe you write 4 or 5 objectives. You are doing undergraduate thesis, you are doing master's thesis, but you write objectives, something that is like a PhD. So you have to put in such a way that these are specific, measurable, attainable, result oriented, and timely. So these are some of the insight I put you here. So please do your homework, please search little bit more and try to make it something like it is called SMART. This is again a good way to write objectives and to address the level. So as you know, we do undergraduate thesis, we do master's thesis, we do PhD thesis. So undergraduate has different levels. So if we address like knowledge, comprehension, application, these are lower levels. So at undergraduate level should be okay, but even apply, this can be postgraduate level as well. So normally at PhD master's level and also high quality journal, you should the keyword put this Bloom's taxonomy, something like analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Again, this you can search in Yahoo Google's using Bloom's taxonomy, you will find. But I'm happy I'll share this slide. And as I mentioned, the slides are already in Facebook. You can go in my Facebook. Actually, all the slides, video presentations are already there. So you can enjoy at your convenient time. So knowledge is free. In most cases, I made the slides presentation freely available. But as I told you also, publication takes long time. So we are planning also in August to give 2 days publication workshop. I will post that in Facebook. So now it is in the process of our university's approval. So once it is approved, we'll post into the Facebook. So keep your eyes in the Facebook. Normally in the Facebook, I put research related updates, some of the challenges, sometimes how to address reviewer comments, sometimes how to address the challenges. I put there, so in a brief way, so you can enjoy there. So that's again for the benefit of the community, societies, because I have experience. So if I share to the community, I am sure they will be benefited. Okay, so different ways, different channels. So this Bloom's taxonomy is basically is level of your work, whether this is undergraduate, whether this is master's, PhD, or high quality journal. Okay, so higher level is better. Okay, this is how to write. These are in my area. How to write. So start with some action bar. As you can see, to analyze thermophysical properties. So I'm working in this area, so I know these thermophysical properties. This can be measured easily using we have some pertinent equipment. And second objective is to develop a mathematical model. You see that to develop, this is very higher level. This is the last level. And developing a mathematical model is very, very high level, as long as there are some novelties, something new there. So always try to put these types of keyword, these types of action bar to validate. These are very high level because these are not easy to achieve. So that's why level of achievement quality is very, very high. So that's actually will ensure that your paper will be published in good quality journals. Again, compare. So these last 3 words, actually the action bars are very, very strong. If you analyze in deep, so these are basically, and also the design, synthesis, these are higher level of words. So when you write your action bar objective, so try to put higher level of action bar. So this slide is very important, addressing originality. Okay, so without addressing originality, you will face a lot of challenges. Even at the initial stage of submission, your paper will not go through review process. Maybe it can go for conference. Those who are new undergraduate students, first year, second year, third year, or final year, for learning purpose, it's okay. But if you want to be a prolific researcher, world-renowned researchers, and a good researcher, you need to address this originality significantly. So again, as I mentioned, it can be high. As you know, there are papers in science, nature, impact factor 100, 50. So again, it will depend on your level of originality. So that's what I say. The originality can be very high, can be marginal, can be none, can be useful. I have experienced also some papers we published in policy-related journal in energy policy. Reviewer commented that it's not novel, but it is useful. Maybe it will be useful for certain countries. For example, we published a paper with some Bangladeshi collaborators from Chuet. Some of the students actually they did work for energy analysis for Rohingya community. As you know, the Rohingya community is a key word, so this will be very key term for global community. So it was easily accepted, even though the paper was not that highly original, but it was useful for a specific, deprived community like Rohingya. So sometimes usefulness is also important. It can be accepted. So this novelty can be very high, can be marginal, can be useful. So again, this is how you have to design your project. So you have to read a lot of literature to address the novelty, higher level, better level. So how this can be done? So that's why searching information, I think Brother Tarek already showed you some of the important aspects of searching. There are various databases. So basically good universities already subscribe these databases. So you can download the papers, and I think the Science Hub also, you know the tricks also how to get all those papers. I think nowadays it is convenient, but you do always in a professional, ethical way. Scrutinize the more relevant papers, read introduction part of the paper where basically is highlighted what has been done, what has not been done. So you try to identify that what you need to be, what has not been done. So you focus, so you highlight maybe 10 bullet points, 10, the one paragraph that these are the things has not been identified based on these few papers. Then from there, maybe you identify one or two novelties that has not been addressed. And also my suggestion, you read 4 to 5 good quality review papers on your topics. And normally at the recommendation or future perspective part of that review paper actually will highlight what has not been done. That basically will give you the future directions. From there actually you can pick some of the novelties, and then from there maybe 1 or 2 novelties you can focus in your paper. So this is how to address the originality, and this is how to write. Based on my experience, sometimes you write that there are very little work. So I think this is not enough. There are rare work. There are limited work. So actually these are not strong. As you can see here, you have to systematically read some of the papers. For example, reference number 20 to 23, 28, 29. We have studied these references and we found that some of the things are missing in all those papers. So we highlight that all those things are not done. And based on that, based on this literature survey, based on this evidence, actually reviewer, editors will not accept without proper evidence and support. If you simply mention that this is the first time we have done, actually it will be hard to convince the editors and reviewers. So that's why you have to put the evidences like these references. So these are the references we have studied, and we found that these are the things has not been explored in all those papers. So in our paper, in our original paper, in our existing paper, we are trying to focus all these novelties. So this is one of my student actually came out with the only one of novelties. Then actually I ask my students, and also I'm involved. And finally we fine tune, and we, as you can see, there are very specific 3 novelties. We have investigated exergy efficiency. This is something better than available in the literature. Our efficiency is better than available literature, and also we have improved the stability. So after discussion with my student came out with only 1 novelty, and then after discussion actually I managed to improve it up to 3. So this is again actually the rule of supervisors, rule of collaborator, rule of senior persons. Actually they should help the juniors. Actually this is the work of the this is the actually the way of working together. I mean the collaboration, supervisor has rules, collaborator has rules, students has rules. So if each and everyone plays their role, I think then your work will be something good. This is another way of putting the tables. You can see you put the details there, and then you highlight it in the, you see in the highlighted actually what has not been done. And based on that, and you conclude that, so these are the 5 novelties there has not been addressed in all those papers. But however, all those novelties may not be achievable for you. So you select 1 or 2. And that's why I mentioned that your objectives should be achievable, measurable, specific. So you address very specifically 1 or 2 novelties, so that you can address within 2 or 3 months or for your master's and PhD. So be very specific, that's which are achievable. So this is another way of addressing your novelty. Now addressing scope, this is very important because nowadays even we face difficulties, our papers are rejected with the, by the editors, 4 or 5 journals, then it is very, very disturbance for us and also demotivation. So this is a scientific community facing the challenges because of huge submission, particularly, you know, Chinese research are very, very serious. Their government is giving a lot of funding. So as a result, there are huge submission, and then what would be the tool by the editors to reject the paper? So they always will be looking for, in 2000, when I was starting my research in 1998, 1997, actually it was not like that. Whenever we submitted, it has gone through review process. But nowadays, editor, section editor, and the editorial board member basically will go through first. They will scrutinize, and they will first look for originality, novelty. I think that's what I addressed in the previous slides. And then they will be checking the scope. Actually, sometimes it is within the scope, but scope may be within limited, maybe marginal. Again, these are the tools actually editors, reviewers, section editors, board members will be looking for to reject your paper. So that's why in my opinion, you read the papers, you design your paper so that it is within the scope of that journal that you are targeting. So maybe initially you target a journal that you are going to submit, you read the scope, you read some of the relevant papers there, and you design your paper so that this can be addressed. And also you cite some of the papers, write a cover letter where you address your novelty and you mention that scope, how this is within the scope of the journals. Don't write only one or two sentence. I think you write as much as possible, maybe one paragraph. So if editor read and he is convinced, and then I hope this will go through the review process. So this is how to address the scope of the journal. So this is very, very important. Please pay attention during the design process, during the submission process, wherever necessary, and you write a strong cover letter highlighting your novelty and particularly the scope. Without this, it is very, very hard. But of course, that's why I cannot guarantee that it will always go through review process. So what you have to do, you have to have alternative list of the journals. That's how Brother Tarek also mentioned the Scopus, ISI Web of Science, Google Scholar, from where actually you can find the list of journals. So you keep your bank, you store your papers in your pocket so that when papers is rejected in journal A, try to submit in B, C, and D, and never lose your hope. Journal publication is a cyclic process. So as I mentioned, I have 700 papers and none of the papers remained unpublished. So maybe rejected in A, but it is published in D. Might be better than A. So this is again my experience. So this is how to, this is again very big problem, major problem with the new researcher, particularly they don't know how to critically analyze their literature. So it might be for your thesis, it might be for your paper, there is a literature section part. Normally this is embedded in introduction part of a paper, but if it is thesis, normally this is a separate section. What is important? Critical review of your literature. This is very, very important. What does this critical literature review means? Strength and weakness. Strength is positive findings, good findings, and weakness is actually the limitations, drawbacks, negative aspect, what has not been done. So if you basically critically analyze your literature, then basically your job is done for writing review paper, for writing your thesis, and this is also important for your writing review paper. Unfortunately, we don't have time. Maybe in separate session we can write also give a seminar on how to write a review paper. But in our publication workshop, this will be covered as well because that will be extensive for 2 days. So that's why the workshop I think is good for you, and there will be certificate as well. So this is how to define the critical literature of review. As you can see here, there are a number of parameters. So at left side column is references, and then is the other parameter called the geometry. Other parameter is the nanofluid and findings. And most importantly, findings, not only findings, also you write the limitations, drawbacks. And from there, actually, you can identify your novelties as well. So in the findings, please ensure that there are some limitations also, what has not been done, along with some good findings, good publications, good or positive findings. So this is what is called critical review of literature. So these types of tables should be there if you write a review paper, if your thesis. So you include some tables. It can be figures as well, but I'm giving you only one example of this critical review of literature in the form of a table. Are you okay with me?
Yes.
Brother Animal?
Sir, I'm unmuted. Sorry, I was unmuted. Sorry, muted.
Okay.
I was muted.
Okay.
Sorry, now I have just
Okay.
unmuted.
No problem.
Okay, sir, everything is okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. This slide is very, very important for undergraduate students, those who are doing experiment, those who are writing thesis, those who will be writing papers, those who will be writing proposal. This is again, I gain the experience. I am also constantly learning. We human being, we never perfect. So I attended German academic exchange. They sponsored me to attend workshop for 6 days workshop. Actually, from there I learned, and then this is how also I improve myself. And this is very, very important. Normally, this is a major comments. Those who are new, actually, organization, coherency, structure, methodology. These are the questions raised by the reviewers, supervisors, editors, and collaborators. So if you want to write a well-organized, coherent, structured paper, you must follow this structure. Okay, so what we do? We have a title. So after discussion with the supervisor, you have a title. With a collaborator, you have a title. Once you have a title, you write objectives. So I have given you very clear-cut slides how to write objectives in a clear, achievable manner. Normally, 2 to 3 objectives are fine for writing paper for master's level. Maybe for PhD, maybe up to 4 can be. So you have 3 objectives. So you write them in a way that I have shown you using Bloom's taxonomy to design, to analyze, to compare, to validate, and so on. Once you have your objective, so then you have to generate data. That is basically the methodology. How you are going to achieve your objectives. That is basically the methodology. Is basically your experimental setup, modeling, simulation, quantitative, qualitative for non-science. So how to achieve the data. So now you have objectives. So you design you develop your methodology according to objective number 1. For example, I want to measure thermophysical property. So now I will design methodology. Basically, I will write the equipment that can measure that specific parameters with details of its accuracy, robustness, some other things. So basically, I will design the methodology number 1 based on stated objective number 1. Then I will design the methodology for that to achieve the objective number 2, and so on. There might be same equipment or same methodology can be used to achieve the 2 objectives, but that one you clearly mention, clearly highlight there. Okay, so you link your objectives with the methodology. So purpose of methodology is to generate data that is in the form of a tables and figures. So once you have the methodology based on your stated objectives, so now you present your result and data that is called result and discussion, again based on stated methodology and objectives. So you present result, there's a table number 1, figure number 1. So these are called result, and then you start discussion. Again, this will make your paper systematically well organized, coherent, well structured, and I'm sure that reviewer will not have chance to make comment that paper is not well organized if you follow this way. Okay, so then finally the conclusion. So conclusion is basically your concrete achievement of your objectives, basically finding. So again, you write your conclusion based on objective number 1. So you have objective number 1 is to measure thermophysical property. So you mentioned that this is the findings based on the stated objective. So basically is the finding. Conclusions are basically findings, and again you write based on stated objectives. So this is how your paper will be well structured, well organized, coherent. So I strongly recommend follow this way. You write and then you draft, first draft, second draft, and then you ask whether this is coherent or not. Then you discuss with your supervisors, collaborators, and so on. So if you maintain this way, I'm sure that your paper will be well organized. So methodology part. So this part actually I have talked little bit is basically it can be analytical work, theoretical work, computational work. So details should be designed here. Okay, so I don't have much time. So time is moving, so I'll be a little bit faster now. I think at least with the previous slide, I have this methodology part I have discussed. So basically there will be analytical work, theoretical work, computational work. You have to write each and every details here. So that's why I mentioned in abstract, write only 1 or 2 sentences. You write as much as possible in this part. Okay, don't keep anything missing here. That is the experimental work. This is one of the important aspects. So what is the purpose, what is the parameters, and if you use the experimental equipment, so you have to put the accuracy, calibration, because this will help to explain that your results are accurate and robust, and that will be reliable, that will be comparable, because different people will use for different purposes. So each and every details of experimental setup, you write it here. My opinion, since time is limited, please do your homework. Please read some model paper. You read again and again. So when I submitted my master thesis, my supervisor said that it is very weak thesis. So what I did, so I trained myself. I self-motivated myself. So I read number of theses. I read at that time proof where digital dissertation is available. So I got some theses from other universities as a collaborator. So I read the number of theses, and that's how I improve myself. So now it is a lot of databases there. You can collaborate. You can get the details of the thesis, details of the paper. You read a model paper and you ask yourself whether this is sufficient or not. So you follow some good model. That is basically a keyword. I also follow the good model to design my paper, to follow also the topics and so on. survey work. So these are non-science based. As you know, I'm more on science and engineering, but there are works also, survey work, interviews, focus groups, participant observation. So again, all the details you present in your methodology part, so that how you generate your data. So methods in science. So this is again Brother Imtiaz, he shared with me. This is not my slide. So again, in social science, you also have the method. Actually, method is everywhere, how to collect the data, how to get the data. So in science, we use experiment, we use the modeling simulation, but in your social science, probably you use, these are the methods. So quantitative method, qualitative method, mixed method. So of course, this will be in your paper. So you read them in details and you write accordingly. So this is how he put it here, quantitative data collection. So mail questionnaire, web-based and so on. So please follow this way to address your methodology part for non-science-based scientists. So statistical sensitivity error analysis. This is again will tell you the how robust your data are, how accurate your data are. That's the reason also in our undergraduate, I remember in BUET, we studied also the measurement technology, measurement method. So that's basically will tell you how to do the statistical analysis, error analysis. Basically will tell you your experimental analysis, experimental data, how strong. Okay, so result and discussion. This also I'll be moving a little bit faster, so I can see 12:40. I'm sorry for this. I hope you understand. So result and discussion, actually it's highlighted. So it should be critical analysis of your result and discussion. So what is the difference between undergraduate and thesis and experimental work compared to our high quality paper, master's PhD thesis? Is the critical analysis, critical discussion of your results. Okay, that is a key word. So how to critically analyze, I think in the next slide, I'll tell you. If there are modeling and simulation, it should be validated, because simulation modeling part has a lot of uncertainties. Maybe some parameters are not included or missed. So validation can be done by experimental work or maybe using literature's work. So if there are some limitations also, you highlight that and avoid errors of contradiction. Sometimes you write somewhere it is increasing, somewhere you write decreasing. So you always check and verify. So that's why you need first draft, second draft, third draft, and so on. And should have good quality figures. As you can see, nobody can read this. Okay, so this basically will not attract potential readers and it will not be useful. So always be careful. This always happens when you just copy and paste from PDF. So again, this is not good approach. So there are three figures. This basically can be combined in scientific journals, quality publication. Actually, pages are limited. Actually, you have to write in a very concise way, in a compact way. So this is again another art of writing your result and discussion part. So actually, you can embed, you can superimpose, you can make secondary axis, and this is how we can make the concise way. So you can see here. So three figures has been combined here. You can put a lot of legend. You can put the secondary axis. You can superimpose. So you read some of the good quality papers in your specific area, probably in science, nature, and Q1 journals in your area, and you see how they have presented data. So again, don't present so many figures and tables. This will be major correction, major comments. Actually, these are not encouraged. So strongly discouraged to put so many figures, so many tables without proper critical analysis and discussion. So presentation of your figures, tables is also important aspect. So this is very important. So I'll be putting a little bit time here. Reasoning phenomena, again, why increasing, decreasing, fluctuation phenomena. This is a very strong point you have to highlight. Okay, you can take some from literature. Again, you can link with your experimental setup. For example, we are material science. We do the TM image, FISM image. So that image actually will link with the findings. So how that analysis is linked to the reasoning phenomena. Highlight of the originality. For example, now your results are 20% better than the literature. Please highlight it here. If you don't highlight, if you hide it, if you keep with yourself only, then how the reviewer, the readers will understand. So these are the things always you got something good. For example, you see the promoter, seller, they are very good at promoting their products. Okay, you know, the salesman, marketing people. So sometimes we scientists, these are our deficiency, but I think non-science people are better than technical people. We engineers sometimes very weak in this area. Actually, you have to promote. This is how also nowadays I also promote my research, my profile, all these things. And this is actually sometimes for the benefit and also to entice the collaborators. So these are the things you have to actually promote your things, not excessive way, not exaggerated way, but in a professional way. Okay, don't undermine your work. As much as possible, you highlight. Validation and comparison, as I mentioned, these are very important aspects. So if you put reasoning phenomena, if you highlight your originality, you put the validation, comparison, I think this will make your result very, very strong, robust, and there are possibilities that your paper will be accepted. As I mentioned also, statistical error analysis, no contradictory statement, no redundancy. Redundancy is actually duplicate. Sometimes you put the both data in a tables and figures. So as you know that there are very, very space limitations. So don't put same data in either in both in tables and figures. You present in either way, either tables and figures. You root the paper so you know how whether a table will be better or figure. So you put only one either table or figure, not both. Okay, so this normally happens in some cases, and sometimes also you overlap some of the data in figures and tables. Maybe some are not redundant. Again, be careful with these things. So again, those who are new. So you see them, you have to write your methodology in the methodology part, not in the result and discussion part. So this happens, and all these actually all are based on my own experience. Actually, nobody will share in such a way. This is again based on my experience. So this is actually the reflection of my experience. So don't put your methodology part here. This is a part of result and discussion. So you have to put result and then you have to discuss. Don't bring your methodology part. That's how you address, how you did the experiment. Don't bring it here. Okay? Yeah, please take note of this seriously. Good quality figures, I think I talked that one. And also sometimes what I see that you present literature first. If you put your literature first in the result discussion, this will give an impression that your paper is a review paper. It is not your original work. So don't give an impression to the reviewers that this is not original work. This is a review work. You are giving a wrong impression. So that's why you present your original data, tables, figures, and then you start discussion, and then you can compare with the literature. I mean with the others' work. That is the valid way. So if you present the literature first and then you start your discussion, I think that's not the proper way. So conclusion is basically concrete findings of your objectives, basically findings. Conclusion and abstract is a different. Abstract is a summary of your work, and you have seen it contains background information, it contains objectives, it contains methodology, it contains results, it contains conclusion part. But conclusion is only concrete achievement or findings of your objectives, findings, okay, based on your stated results. So you have to be very, very careful. Don't bring the each and everything of the abstract in the conclusions. Only concrete findings, achievements of your objectives. So this is a conclusion and achievement of your objectives must tally with the objectives, must be measure findings. So this is a keyword. So you have to put your measure findings there. No discussions and no more reasoning phenomena here. So discussion part actually in the discussion, maybe a little bit minor discussion can be there. So these are the challenges. As you have seen, we don't have enough time. So scientific community, the paper will be rejected number of times. So if you lose your patience, actually you cannot be a good researcher. As you can see, I have published 700 papers. So I remember the reviewers, editors of energy conversion and management quite number of times mentioned, despite publishing 700 papers, that you have to go to school and learn how to write your journal paper. So I'm an experienced person. Despite that, sometimes there will be such, discouraging comments, but we basically enjoy. We also address this professionally. So we never lose the hope. We never lose our passion. So same thing, if you want to be a good researcher, as you know, we become engineer, we become doctors, we become lawyers, we become pharmacists. So how long it took? So to complete your undergraduate, so it takes normally around 25 years. So so now you want to publish a paper within 2 or 3 months and you are losing your passion. So it's not that easy. So you have to be patient. You have to be steadfast and never give up. So these are the key words for your strong motivations to be a good researcher in this area. Never give up. Sometimes rejected after number of, so even we face these difficulties also. But as I mentioned, if you know the tricks, if you know the tips, if you have alternatives, so again, it can be published maybe in C and D journals with better impact factor. So never lose the hopes. Challenging comments from the reviewers, editors, as I mentioned. Lack of expertise, again, when you are a new author, new publisher, I think always you face these difficulties. That is actually the purpose of collaboration. So that's why you need to collaborate with the world-class people, top people in your area. So when you have done something, so you collaborate with them, with your supervisor, with the other people. This is how, despite this difficult situation, COVID situation, we managed to publish good quality number of papers. We cannot go lab, but we managed to collaborate with the Iranian, Bangladeshi researcher, Australian researcher, and we are giving them modeling data, experimental data, and we are doing modeling papers. So far, we are doing it successfully. This is also the purpose of the collaboration. So I think collaboration is very important tool, but we don't have enough time. This is how also I survive, I sustain my research. So as you know, when I left University of Malaya, where I have 4 million research grant. I have 20, 30 master students, but when I joined King Fahd University, even Sunway, I did not have resources. So because of this collaboration, actually, I survived, I sustained, and on an average, 20, 30 papers always remain. I thought maybe once I left UM, maybe I can on an average publish 10 papers, but that limit I never was possible to go. The minimum was 17 papers in 2017. So on an average 30 papers every year. So this is actually the rule of collaboration. So you have to improve this skill with your collaborators. So poor writing and language, as you know, some of you are asking the Bengali. So this is a research. So I strongly encourage committee member that I'll be talking in English, even though I'm Bangladeshi, but this is a research topic. So when I started my undergraduate in BUET, first 6 months, I was struggling. In one aspect, one time I was thinking that I may not be able to continue my study in BUET because of the language barrier, because we studied in Bengali. So then, so I cannot go back. So I started to read the English newspaper every day, one paragraph. And that to read, to understand one paragraph, it took 2 hours, 3 hours. But after 6 months, I feel confident. And then this is how I train myself also, how to write this paper. So alhamdulillah, nowadays my papers also, because of language, it does not reject it up to certain level. But sometimes there are reviewers, they are very much specific, sarcastic, that it must be go through the native speaker. So in that case, we face difficulties, and then we go for proofreading. Okay, so I'm going to the next phase. So brother Enamul, are this okay? Everything okay?
Yes, sir, everything is okay.
Okay, so this is another important aspects. Normally, these are not shared. These are not disseminated. Again, these are my key things actually. By doing my by training myself through self-training, self-learning, homework, actually I gain a lot of experience. I think these are normally not shared. I'm sure that you will get some good experience, particularly impact assessment. As you know, these are very important things that we did something work, we do some work, and at the end this becomes useful, this becomes cited. I think then we should be proud of. So brother Tarek already mentioned some of the things, but my one will be very, very strategic, very focused. This will be higher level. Normally undergraduate students, you might not understand, but those who will be looking for your master's, PhD, you want to be a prolific researcher, I'm sure this will shed some lights. Of course, you can do your homework, and if you face difficulties, you can knock me also as well. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions later on. Okay, so brother Enamul, yes, how long I have? How many more minutes? 20 minutes?
Okay, no problem. You can
20 minutes. Okay, I'll try by 20 minutes.
Continue until another 30 minutes is okay.
That will be good, because this is very important thing. I think nobody normally shares, and this is again based on my experience. So I put this table here. These are called the top-notch journals. So far we discussed the Q1, Q2 quality, but there is another term called the top-notch. Maybe this is top 0.1%. Among the top 1%, there can be something called 0.1%. So we call it, scientific community call it top-notch journal. As you can see, the impact factor, normally my experience, impact factor is up to now 14 point something we managed to publish, and major papers are impact factor something like 10 we publish. So far, as you can see, impact factor 223. Normally topic is important. You see the cancer biological research are normally highly cited. So again, in one of the slides, I'll be talking that topic is very, very important. So you have a look this list. Actually, these are quite impossible, but there is nothing impossible. You can try, you can dream. Maybe some of our Bangladeshi researchers can dream, can be, published in good quality journals. So this is for your dream. Okay. Again, there is no harm to dream for yourself.
Definitely.
So these are top-notch journals. Keep in your mind. Again, this can be found through journal citation reports, ISI Web of Science. That's brother Tarek already showed you. Actually, time is not enough, but you have to do your homework. If you face difficulties, discuss with your collaborators. I'm sure there are, you have collaborators now all over the world. I can see the participants from all over the world. So you can communicate with your collaborators, those who have this access, they can help you. As for example, when I was doing my PhD, actually, I need few thesis. Actually, University Malaya did not subscribe ProQuest digital dissertation. Actually, this thesis can be accessed. but only those who subscribe. At that time, I have collaborated in UTM. So one of my Bangladeshi brothers actually gave me 4 theses, and that's how I compare my work with all those high quality theses. Again, the rule of collaboration is very important. So the definition of impact factor, I'll go very fast. As you can see, this is actually the indicators. How many papers published for last 2 years and how much citation. So one is denominator, one is the numerator. Divide them and you will get the factor that is called impact factor. Higher is better, but most important thing is the ranking is more important than citation. Sometimes impact factor, sometimes impact factor is high, but it may be a Q2 journal. In that case, ranking is important. So that's how it came, ranking, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So rather than impact factor, the ranking is more important. So keep that in your mind. So high impact journal versus paper. So these are some of the pros and cons. Sometimes we aim for only nature and science, Q1 journals, but there are some secret recipes also. This will help you to maybe achieve some of your target and goals. Impact of individual paper is more important than journal impact factor. Journal has maybe published 400 papers, but some of the papers are never cited. So then actually impact factor of journal is not that important. However, if your paper is cited, let's say 200 times, 300 times, then the journal impact factor, I think that is more important for you if you are an author. But if it is an editor, I think in that case, impact factor of journal is important. Some papers in journal events are not cited at all. If a paper is cited heavily by other authors, this is more valuable than impact factor of a journal. As you can see, this is very important slide. So some of the participants from my previous presentation also mentioned that this slide was very important. Actually, this is encouraging factor for you that even though we cannot publish in Science and Nature, Q1 journal, but you see, even we published in Q3, Q4, these are basically Q3, Q4 journals. As you can see, impact factors are low. But if you analyze the citation, 1082, first one. And the other one, second one, 486. And third one, 127. And fourth one, 1099. I think these are highly cited. So citation amount is tremendous. So again, why? So topic is important. Answer for you is actually the topic is important for you. So that's why never lose the hope. You cannot publish in Q1. You cannot publish in Science and Nature. You cannot publish in impact factor 15, 10. But if your topic is good, you try to publish somewhere Q3, Q4, but at the end, this will be cited. I think this citation is more important sometimes, as you can see, because this is an indicator of usefulness. Again, as you can see, this is a very important slide. Again, my analysis, these types of analysis, normally people never will do. Again, this is whenever I give the talks, presentation, I always do my homework. I do some analysis, some deep analysis, as you can see. First paper is energy conversion and management. Impact factor is something like 8. Second paper is impact factor solar energy materials and cells. Impact factor is something like 7. And nature science, as you have seen, impact factor 14, 40, 50. But as you can see, nature paper is cited only 0 times, cited 8 times. So it will not guarantee that even science and nature paper will be cited. So you can do again ISI Web of Science, journal citation reports, essential science indicators. You can look through some of the science and nature papers. You will find that some papers are not cited at all. So topic is important. So these are the hidden recipes. And also these are the motivation for you. So never lose your hope. You cannot publish in high impact journals, high quality journals, but again, you can publish in some low impact factor journals, and there are possibility that it will be cited. So that's why some of the recipes like topic is very important. So these are the definition of ranking. I think there are some questions also. I answered all those things. Basically in Scopus, in ISI Web of Science, actually these are defined. For example, I'm working in energy and fuel area. So there are 103 journals in my area. For example, Dr. Enamul is working in, or Imtiaz is working in accounting and finance. There are 50 journals. Among the 50 journals, top 25 is defined as Q1. Top 50 is defined as Q2, and so on. Okay, so these are the definition of Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So these are important. For example, sometimes we heard that in our area it is very hard to publish in high quality journal. Again, you cannot compare your work with engineering. If you are in finance, if you are in let's say Islamic banking, so if you go in your area, there are 50 journals and you published in Q1, I think that you should be proud of. Then you should not make a complaint, and you should not compare with the engineering, because your field is very specific, very unique. Don't compare with the engineering. Don't compare with the other field. So you go in your field, and then you find your specific journal, those which are Q1, Q2. I think that you should be proud of. This is again very important slide. So in our area, energy and fuel sectors, as you can see, this is 26 impact factor progress in energy and combustion science. You see there are 60. There are also in one journal, there may be some subdivision: thermodynamics, energy and fuels, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering. So in thermodynamics, there are 60 journals, and this is number 1. In energy and fuels, there are 103 journals, and this is number 3. In chemical engineering, there are 138 journals, and it is number 2. This progress in energy and combustion science is number 2. And mechanical engineering, it is number 1. Let's say I'm working in mechanical engineering, and this is ranking number 1. So I should be proud of that. Yeah, my work is published in number 1 in my field, not in other fields. So even I could not publish in science and nature, but I should be proud. And these are the things also we should promote during our interview for promotion, during our candidature defense, that we should highlight that my paper is published in ranking 1. Even though it is not ranking 1, but if it is top 10%, as you know, the definition of Q1, actually it can be top 5%, it can be top 1%, it can be top 10%. So boundary is top 25%. Again, these are the analysis you can do, and you can, with the evidence through essential science indicator, through JCR, through Web of Science, actually you can highlight all these things during your interview, during your defense. So this will be, I think, you can entice the evaluator. So this is, I think, very important, and these are the things normally not shared. So this is how I have done for some of the analysis. So if you talk about the energy, so I have almost 25 papers in the field of in the journal energy. So as you can see, we can be proud of that. It is ranked 3 in my field. So these are some of the analysis also you should do, and you should highlight also wherever necessary. So this can be done by Web of Science. So impact assessment actually can be done. It is for your article, for your author. Article is normally the citation, and if you are an author, so H index, citation. So this can be again by Scopus, Google Scholar, ISI Web of Science, and journal. So these are the impact assessment methods. So basically now I'm trying to tell you the impact assessment is not only citation. There are other impacts also need to be addressed. But as you can see, the last thing, actually the Australian Research Council, they define impact assessment is basically is the economic aspect, societal aspect, environmental aspect, cultural, along with or beyond the academic impact. So in my case, actually, I gave the focus of academic impact. That is the citation impact. This is one aspect, and actually it is not everything. It is in this slide, according to this slide, and also according to my opinion also, this is partial reflection of your impact of your work. It is not each and everything, because it has some drawbacks as well. So this reflects some partial impact of your work, that is academic impact. But I can also say that there are some societal benefit also my work, because I'm giving this publication talk. I think many participants also will be benefited, I think, in writing, in improving citation. So this is also, I think, societal impact also, and also the when we do work, I think there are environmental impact also. These are the things also normally it is hard to analyze all other impacts. So this is what is mentioned. So other impact of research, for example, new commercial opportunities, better products, process, all these things are sometimes we talk, but these are very difficult to measure. So in my view, when you make the comments or criticize, it should be productive, constructive. So you also give some idea that how this impact can be measured. Maybe you come out with some impact analysis tools, and you published in some good quality journals. I think that should be the professional way, rather than just in one way, just discouraging, putting only a negative image or non-constructive criticism. So that's basically I don't like. That is, I think, not professional way. So my in my view, I think impact should be analyzed in a proper systematic way, but my focus is impact assessment of scientific publication, that is academic impact. So these are the things also I brought it here. why this impact factor is important? I think you all know the ranking criteria. So in one of the slides also I'll be putting here. That is one aspect. But to me, I think this is we should be proud that our paper is used extensively by other researchers. I think that is very important aspects. That is very important thing we should be proud for. Not only citation, not only other purpose. Very important for ranking criteria. So it has weightage from 20 to 30% weightages for ranking criteria. It can be internationally recognized researcher, for example, highly cited authors, rewarding. But I never plan all those things. So I work hard. I did my homework. I address my KPI, what I should deliver for the funding, for my job as a performance indicator. And at the end, all those things came out. So as you can see here, so citation has a major role in this ranking purposes. So as you can see in Malaysia, there are a number of good universities. So they are soaring and soaring. So UM is doing very well. So of course they invested heavily for this to be in the world league, in the league table. But in Asia, as you know, NUS, NTU, they are the number top in Asian ranking. But in Malaysia, I think the UM is the number 1. UPM is number 2, and there are some other universities and some private universities also nowadays doing well. I think that's a good indication. But again, there are drawbacks also. There are some limitations also. So I think constructive way, all those need to be improved. But there are some good indicators also. So I support all those which are encouraging, those which are good. I support all those things. But there are some things also need to be improved. So I support all those things also. So now is some of the important recipes I will be sharing with you. So how to improve citations professionally and ethically. Again, I strongly remind you, always try to be professional, ethical. Otherwise, this will be detrimental for your career, future career, for your institutions, for your organizations. For example, if your paper is retracted, so this is very, very dangerous. This is detrimental for your life. So you will lose your job. Okay. So that's what I say, the professionally and ethically. And there is no shortcut way. Okay. So as you know, somebody want to be rich by stealing or by being a robber. So as you know, there are tools also that can be checked, verified, can be identified, and can be caught. Again, if you do unethically, unprofessionally, there are tools. There are authenticate. There are Turnitin. Okay. And there are other people also will read your paper, and at the end, if you are caught, so your life will be gone. So please don't follow any shortcut way. Okay. Again, I repeat, we become engineer after spending 25 years. You become scientist, you become lawyer, you become an ulama. So after how many years? After 25 years. So if you want to be a good researcher within short period of time, by doing this, by removing someone's name and you put your name there. So yeah, don't follow that way. So this is my humble request. And again, publication ethics is very important because limitation of time, I cannot address all those things. But in our workshop, we will address that particularly few slides. But in my slide that I have shared in UPM's presentation that is available in Facebook, there is a one topic, actually the publication ethics. Please read that carefully. I think that will remind you how to work in a professionally and ethically. But this is very important. So one of the key recipe is the topic. When I started my research under my master's research, actually I was doing research on household appliances. Actually, it is not that very strong, encouraging, and this topic is also not that interesting area. But again, as you know, there is a funding on these topics, and whatever given by the supervisor, we have to work with that. So I did both my master's and PhD in that area. So, but in my PhD, I tried to move somewhere good topics because at that time I thought maybe some other topics will be highly interesting, novel area. But again, as you know, supervisor is a superpower sometimes. I cannot go much. But again, these are the training. I don't feel it is nothing wrong. But when I finished my master's and PhD, and then I become free, and I started to do all this research from household appliances to industrial energy. And then I included the recipe of nanomaterials. And 2008, I had only 68 citations. And now, as you can see, now until today, it's almost 33,000 times cited my work. This is because of some of my strategies. I started to do homework. I I have seen some of the papers using Web of Science, my colleague, some world-renowned researcher, professor, where they publish, what they publish, and I saw that some of the papers are highly cited. Then slowly I moved some topics, okay, into this industrial energy area and nanotechnology. And also important thing is that actually my area, the broader audience. Why science and nature papers are highly cited? Because it covers for broader audience, not only for limited participants. So these are some secret recipes. Actually, the topic is very important. As you can see at the first slide or second slide, you have seen cancer research impact factor is 223. So topic is very important. This is a single paper published in 2011, 43,000 times cited. Even I cannot go there. Even all my 700 papers is not cited up to that level yet. So topic is very, very important. So how to address the topic? So this is how to address the topic. So I'll be spending a little bit of time here. Hot papers in essential science indicators. Actually, there is not enough time. In ISI Web of Science, or if your university subscribe, actually this is very expensive. So I tried to get this access from Lancaster, from UPM, but unfortunately they are not subscribed. But again, I have a subscription also because I work with King Fahad also as a visiting position also. So King Fahad database actually is with essential science indicator. That is how I check who has how many papers are highly cited. This is only highly cited papers can be checked and top essential papers can be checked only by essential science indicators. Those which universities are subscribed. I don't think any Malaysian university subscribe. I'm not sure whether UM subscribe. If subscribe, then ISI Web of Science, actually this will show you icon of that highly cited researcher paper and essential hot papers. Hot papers is actually 0.1% cited for 1 or 2 months. Highly cited is 1%. So you can see the differences. So try to understand why papers are highly cited. Again, maybe topics and some other things. So try to follow top researcher universities. For example, I follow the Professor Ibrahim Dinsar in Canada, Professor Arif Hebbasli. They work in the field of energy, renewable energy, solar energy, energy storage, XRG. So I follow their topics because they are already established researchers. So I see where they publish, what they publish. I follow certain model, certain topics and certain researcher, and that's how I also train myself. Proof-based digital dissertation, again, when you need to know each and every details, actually the thesis will give you the each and every details because papers are very concise. Few read review papers on the topics. This also will help you to identify novelties and good topics as well. Watch latest research, hot topics in YouTube, in Yahoo, Google's, and there are some niche area, some emerging area. So you do your homework based on the tips I gave you here, and these slides also will be available for you. So please explore and do your homework, and I'm sure that this also will help you to be a prolific researcher, at least to plan your future career, to design your paper so that it will be useful at the end. So these are the way also the top 10 problem for next 50 years. I will be going very carefully. These are the niche area. So for example, we are Bangladeshi. What are our niche area? So our ready-made garments industry is one of them. Remittance is one of the important areas. So let's try to find our niche area and then focus. I think that's also the local problems also need to be solved along with this citation. These are the by Elsevier some analysis. As you can see, growth, high growth, low impact. So high growth, high impact. Again, you do your homework where you should focus. So as you can see, I'm happy that I'm working in the field of energy. So it is a high growth, high impact. Okay, so again, you can do your homework and then slowly you can little bit tune. It will move slowly, as I mentioned, from household appliances, I move to industrial energy. Again, it is energy, and then I put some additional recipe, nanotechnology. So this is topics of prominence. As you can see, some topics has more prominent than others. So you have to do the homework. Again, the topic, as you can see, some topics are, for example, nanofluid, biofuels, XRG. These are my area, and these are basically some papers are highly cited. This is also the way to check. You can see in specific journal, there are highly downloaded paper, highly cited paper. So you do your homework, you see, and then you try to come out with why papers are highly cited. Self-citation, as Brother Tarek also mentioned, it is not illegal in some cases if you write a review paper. So that's why it is mentioned that of paper is legitimate. Excessive self-citation can indicate a manipulation. This is also when I started analyzing through Web of Science. In 2010, my self-citation was 23,000. So since this is a discouraging factor, I ask my students that please don't excessively self-cite my papers. Only 1 or 2 papers maybe. So with this approach, actually now my self-citation only 10%. I also check some of the prolific researchers and their self-citation is 50-60%. Again, these are some of the things not encouraging factor. So self-citation is good for if you are writing a review paper because you are an expert. You are trying to show that you are an expert. So if you don't cite your papers, actually you are not expert in that case. So that is a legitimate way, that is a valid way. So there are papers, the review paper, original paper. So you have to, where you have to self-cite and where you have to restrict. So these are the things also you have to be professional, you have to be ethics, because if too much self-citation, you are in interview boot for your promotion. If they found that 50% self-citation, I think this will be a negative image, negative impression. I don't think this will be considered positively. Open access journal. So this is also many people are so much eager, interested to work to publish in open access journal. Actually, it is not that good approach because it is expensive practice and basically it is not that much highly cited. It is good that you can, there is no restriction you can use, but actually citation, it depends on topics, publication platform, your writing quality that I shared, many things. It's not only open access because open access sometimes quality may not be that high. Maybe anything can be published by paying. So that's what I strongly discourage. But if it goes through proper review process, quality is maintained there, then I would encourage maybe 1 or 2 papers. Also the open access paid journal, if you publish 10 papers with 10,000, so then 100,000. So I don't think in Bangladesh it is possible. Even in top universities, this is possible. So let's say in Faculty of Engineering, 100,000. So there are 20 faculties. So I'm sure that university will be bankrupted. But I don't discourage for junior researcher 1 or 2 papers, or maybe 1 paper is very good quality papers. Maybe if it is open, it will be highly cited. So in that case, maybe 1 or 2 papers with the publication paid with the paid charts, I think I encourage. So I don't strongly encourage. I also strongly don't discourage. So this is my view. So again, as you can see, the citation is dependent on. As you can see, this is also another key recipe. This is based on my analysis. So if you go and analyze, read original paper in your original journal, you'll see the review papers are highly cited. Why? Because it covers the broader audience. Review paper is for broader audience. So broader topics in your specific area. Many people can read it. By reading 1 or 2 review papers, actually one master's, PhD students actually can fine tune, can guide himself and herself. These are highly beneficial basically. So this is the reason also these are the papers highly cited. And articles are normally less cited, conference paper are less cited. So that's why in your future career, when you are doing master's, PhD at early career, I think you plan a few review papers. Actually, when I was doing my master's and PhD, I was never trained. I was never trained to write a review paper. So then when I started my homework, I saw that review paper is very important for citation. I know it is very good research methodology for those who are starting their master's and PhD. Normally within 2 or 3 months of master's PhD study, I ask my students to write a review paper. This will serve you writing a literature review part. It will improve your research methodology part, and also it will boost your confidence on the topic. So there are multiple benefits writing with the review paper, but again, write only few strategic review papers, not excessive papers. Then you may lose your attention of your original work. So basically, as a good researcher, you should be balanced. You should have review papers, you should have articles, you should have conference paper, and so on. So that is right. Make your life, your CV in a balanced way. So again, the rule of collaboration, as you can see, the collaboration will raise your citation in a better way. So this is, again, I'm going a little bit faster. So publish in a top publisher, that also will help you to get more citation. I published in multi-science, similar types of paper, similar qualities of paper. But when I published in Elsevier, that was highly cited than the multi-science. So again, publisher also will play your role in getting citation. Also, please try to share with the social media. This does not maintain your quality, but at least you are also sharing your work. Other might be benefited because sometimes your work, I think for 50 days, it is free of charge. Anyone can download. So they can download, they can use your work. This might be beneficial. So I think there are some social media also. This is how also I share my experience, I share my work, and this is also, I am also increasing my boundary of collaboration. So every week I got the invitation to work with the all over the world. So this is also good for me, I think, because collaboration is important for sustaining my research. For your information, Sanu University gave us 5 million, but again, this is not enough. For example, if we want to buy TEM, FISM, these are expensive equipment, it will cost 20 million. So again, I don't think the private university is going to support. So that's why if we have collaboration, probably we can share their resources. So that's why collaboration, sharing information is very, very important for your future careers to make you, to solve some of your things. So there are unethical things. I think at the very beginning also I mentioned, unethical practices are also going on. Sometimes they will ask to cite their papers. This is by your friends, by your colleagues, or your associates. Sometimes editor also ask, reviewer also ask. So you should oppose all these things in a professional way. Let me share my experience. So for last few months, these are the things also I shared in my Facebook. You can get the tips how we overcome all those things. So since I'm experienced researcher, so what we do, we write a cover letter highlighting that. Also we got the author's guideline. There is also specifically mentioned that editors, reviewers cannot ask actually to cite their own papers. So these are the unethical things. So I got that information. I copy and paste there with the citation informations. And then also I share my experience and mention that these are the unethical things. And we suspect that these papers belongs to the reviewer. Because why? Because there are common papers. We are experienced, so we can understand that these are the papers belongs to reviewer. So then I write a specific letter to the editor-in-chief, section editors, and also we address these things professionally in the cover, in the response letter. In the response letter, we don't write each and everything, but in the cover letter, because cover letter will be read by the editor-in-chief and section editor. They will read some of our specific concern. And when we write in this way, professional way, then normally in most cases, in some cases, editor-in-chief mentioned that we will investigate, we will check, we will verify, and we will take the necessary actions. And in some cases, editor-in-chief and section editor mentioned that you write it in a professional way, that you, the reviewer asks 10 papers. So let's say paper number 1, okay? You download and then you try to, or I ask my students also to write that one paragraph, how this is relevant, how this is not relevant. In the paragraph, we will mention that these are the content of our paper and this is the content of the paper suggested by the reviewers. And at the end, we make conclusion that this paper is not relevant with our paper. So we are not going to cite these papers. And another paper, let's say this is the paper, this is relevant with our papers and we are going to cite this paper and this is the citation number. And when we do this in a professional way, and also I write there that hello reviewers, this is a gray area, let it decide by the editor-in-chief. So please don't push so much to cite papers all this way. So these are the secret recipe also we write in the cover letter, in the response letters. And in most cases, we become successful. This is my experience because I am experienced. But some of the authors also mentioned in the Facebook that sometimes they just listen the reviewer comments, editor comments, because they are fearful. But you should not be fearful. You have to be professional. We have to highlight, we have to I think ensure this professional ethics. Otherwise, unprofessional things will go, and this might affect your life, your career, because this sometimes will be investigated. You know, the editor knows your each and every detail. So if they found that you are doing these things for many journals, many papers, and then it will go through, you know, the Committee on Publication Ethics. So they may inform your university. So again, this will be very bad reputation. In some cases, you may lose your job. I think you will be barred. Normally what I do nowadays, I know some of the people are asking their paper to be cited. So we write that oppose reviewer in the cover letter also. We write that these are the reviewer. We oppose, please, because there is a conflict of interest. And there are also some of the other concerns we raise. So these are the professional way you can address. I strongly encourage to ensure this professionalism, ethics, and so on. If you want to be a prolific researcher. Otherwise, if paper is retracted, if you are doing these unethical things, if you are caught, your life will be gone. There are good people. There are also, as you know, people are watching. When you are growing, people are, you know, will try to put you down. So please be careful in doing all those things. This is another motivation, as you can see. So highly cited is not only for experienced researcher, but this is a young researcher from University of Malaya. So he was my undergraduate student. Also, I was his PhD thesis examiners. As you can see, I think he was not, I think 4 or 5 years experience. he become highly cited researcher with few papers. So this is again strong motivation for you. So it is not only for highly established researcher, but young researcher, if they work with their strong people, strong team. As far as I know, he's working with one of the strong researcher, Professor Indra. Actually, he was also one of the team member. We both together, Professor Indra and myself, did master's PhD in University of Malaya. Now he's in University Technologies Sydney, UTS in Australia, because of his highly cited researcher. He was invited there. So he became highly cited researcher. Again, he was taken to Australia. So as you can see, this is a great motivation for you. So you don't need to be so much experienced, but if you work in a specific area, specific topics, the way that I share some of the experience, how to write a good quality papers, I'm sure some of the prolific researcher, authors can be a world-class researcher. Not only highly cited researcher, I think the world-renowned researcher. That's most important thing. This is again for your motivation. So criteria for highly cited researcher is basically, I never plan, I never know all these things, but I did my homework, and at the end my name appeared for last 6 consecutive years. Alhamdulillah, I'm not proud of all that, but what is key thing is that actually I learned the quality aspect. So that is what the BUET trained me, that is what the University of Malaya trained me, and that's how I also trained myself, that never sacrifice with the quality. So quality is more important than quantity. So citation is for normally for 10 years. For example, this is the time span for 2020. I think they will be for this 10 years. Papers will be checked, and top 1% only you see. So that's why very, very difficult things. Retracted paper will be removed. Excessive self-citation also removed. So that's why you need to be careful with these things as well. So there are 21 fields. So if you say that I'm in finance, I cannot be highly cited researcher, that is not true. I cannot be a good researcher, that is not true. Actually, that's why there are fields. So in your field, there are ranking, you can be highly cited researcher in your specific field. So that's why field is important. So this is a route to be highly cited researcher. So one of the professor in UPM asked, what should be? Again, I never plan, but these are the things basically I feel actually help me to be in this highly cited researcher list. So as I mentioned, the topic is very important. Select the topics, hot topics, highly cited topics. So some of the tools also, brother Tariq also highlighted, I also highlighted. So ISI Web of Science, Essential Science Indicators, JCR, Scopus, Google Scholar. Through that, you put some keyword, you see some of the papers are highly cited, then you put ascending to descending order and see the paper, why cited, how cited, you follow the paper, what's the content, and you do your homework. Regularly monitor papers which are top downloaded, highly cited, hot papers in your area. Again, you have to do the homework. Follow some top model, as I mentioned. I followed some model, some good quality paper. That's how I tune my research area. Follow the model in my field. Have a look their profile, where they publish, what they publish. I'm sure this will guide you to be one of the prolific researchers. Funding is a very important, as you know, the University of Malaya. This is Tansi Gaud Jasman, who was one of the UM's former vice chancellor. Actually, he took this challenging task to present to the Ministry of Higher Education to bring 1 billion, but at the end he managed to bring 590 million. It was distributed for whole and this is one of the reason actually there were I think about 11 highly cited researchers so far produced. Not only that, they build their infrastructure and now they are soaring and soaring. You see, so from 187 to 59, I think that is a tremendous achievement. Not only that, I think they build their infrastructure, lab. I think the good prolific researchers are also there. I think a lot of good things associated with this funding. So that's why those who are, I'm not sure whether there are senior people here, those who are funding agency, those who are head of the department, dean, I think they should
support. There are some professors with us.
Well.
There are some professors. There are some professors with us.
Yeah. So in that case, I think that you have to bring the funding. You have to entice the funding agency also. I think funding agency also should put certain criteria. I think these are the reason also nowadays funding agency also, they are looking for your prolific profiles, how many papers published and so on. Okay. So published in, always keep focus on Q1 journals because this is universally recognized, but again, some low impact journals also sometimes cited. So try to keep balances, but always keep focus on the Q1 journals. That's why the topic is important. topic, all those tips I give you, and if you publish in, maintain all those tips I gave you, publish in Q1 journals and topics. So I think I'm sure that this will improve your citation. A few strategic review papers, I think that one I talked, form a team with the local international. So don't be shy, always approach with the people around the world. Yeah, some people are always interactive, they will help you probably to be there. And to be a good researcher, actually you need to spend quality time. As you know, I'm from Buet, so normally we went canteen for midnight paratha, as you know, after 12. So good researcher need to work quality time. Again, Professor Ibrahim Dinsar is one of the highly cited prolific researcher. He asked all his students that I work 18 hours, 20 hours. So are you interested to work with me 18 hours, 18 hours or 20 hours? So if you want to be a good researcher, you have to be like that. Recently, unfortunately, I invited some of the researchers from Bangladesh, but at the end they left because they cannot cope with my research. So again, he lose that good opportunities. I feel that these types of researchers are, I think, very lazy. What I feel, he does not want to be in the lab. He does not want to publish, and at the end he left within this difficult period of time. So again, another thing also I want to highlight that as a Bangladeshi, wherever you are, please try to be a good human being, good researcher, try to reflect the good things of the country. For example, I met, because of this highly cited researcher, I met the education minister previously, and this is how also we highlighted. He asked, where are you from? Then as I mentioned, I'm from Bangladesh. As you know, many people also asking, where are you from? This is the way, through the good work, through the professionalism, through the ethical way, you highlight our countries. Actually, many people know that our country has potential resources, potential researcher. You know, particularly they know the word and they know some of the prolific researcher. This is how we have to promote our countries. I think, I mean, please don't do something wrong, something bad thing that will, for example, some Bangladeshis are selling coronavirus certificate. I think this will badly reflect our image. So wherever possible, try to reflect our good things, try to promote our things. We have very, very good things. So try to don't follow any shortcut way. So this is my humble request, because we have negative impact as well. Sometimes when we, you know, we say we are Bangladeshi, you know, some people take it negatively, but we have a lot of good potentials, particularly our young researcher is so potential. That's why I always give the priority to our Bangladeshi students. So in University of Malaya, actually, I give the priority to take the Bangladeshi students because our foundation is so strong. You know, our education system is so strong. Actually, in any situations, particularly, you know, our Buet, Duet, Chuet, Ruet, Dhaka University students, wherever you put them, they can survive, they can sustain. In 99% cases, you see that our people are in top position all over the world, you see. So please highlight the good things. Please avoid all those wrong things, because this will negatively impact our countries. Okay, so that is my advice. And so that is collaboration and number of highly cited papers. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I took a little bit. So still we are on time, right, Brother Anamol?
No, it's okay, sir. Thank you so much. We are running out of time. That's why we have to finish. But still we have a question and answer session. Before that, আমি একটা বিষয় অ্যানাউন্স করতে চাইবো আর কি, সেটা হচ্ছে আমরা আমাদের প্রশ্নোত্তর পর্ব আছে, আমরা কিছু বাছাইকৃত প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিতে পারবো। সবগুলো প্রশ্নের উত্তর দেওয়া হয়তো আজকে সম্ভব হবে না, তবে কেউ আমাদের যে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ গ্রুপ আছে এই সেমিনার উপর সেটা লিভ না নিলে আমরা পরবর্তীতে আপনাদের সবকিছু সাপ্লাই দিব ওখানে, এবং স্যারের ইমেল সহ যা কিছু লাগে, এবং যদি সুযোগ থাকে স্যারকে সরাসরি প্রশ্ন করার সুযোগ আছে আবার, ঠিক আছে? আর তার আগে আমি একটা জিনিস অ্যানাউন্স করছি কোশ্চেন এবং আনসারিং সেশনের পূর্বে, সেটা হচ্ছে আমাদের বিএসইএম এর আরেকটা প্রোগ্রাম আছে আগামী 4 এবং 5 তারিখ, জুলাইয়ের 4 এবং 5 তারিখ। এটা ওয়ার্কশপ টাইপের হবে। প্রথম দিন অর্থাৎ 4 তারিখে বিকাল বেলা হাফ ডে সেশন। সো বিকালে 3 জন আলোচক থাকবেন। এটা হচ্ছে যে স্কিল ডেভেলপমেন্ট নিয়ে, লিডারশিপ কোয়ালিটি, কমিউনিকেশন স্কিল, এইসব যে বেসিক যে স্কিলগুলো আছে সেগুলো কিভাবে ডেভেলপ করা যায়। তো আমরা বিভিন্ন বাংলাদেশ থেকে বিভিন্ন কোম্পানির সিইও সহ আরো বিভিন্ন যারা ভালো ভালো আলোচক তারা জয়েন করবেন। তো 4 তারিখে হবে বিকেল বেলা। তো আমাদের এখানে মালয়েশিয়ান সময় 3টায় শুরু হবে আর বাংলাদেশি সময় 1টা, এবং পরের দিন অর্থাৎ 5 তারিখে সকাল মালয়েশিয়ান সময় 11টা, বাংলাদেশ সময় 9টা, এবং 2 দিনে 3 ঘন্টা করে সেশন চলবে, 3টা আলোচক। এটা হচ্ছে আমাদের একটা অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট। আর আপনারা যারা এখানে অ্যাটেন্ড করেছেন আমরা যেহেতু সার্টিফিকেট প্রোভাইড করব, সো আমরা চাচ্ছি সবাই নিজের সার্টিফিকেটের যে নামটা, আমরা জানি যে রেজিস্ট্রেশন করছেন, তারপরে এখানে আরেকবার অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সের মতন একটা, যে নিজের নামটা এবং ইমেল অ্যাড্রেসটা, সার্টিফিকেটের যে নামটা আপনি ইউজ করেন, নামটা এবং ইমেল অ্যাড্রেসটা প্লিজ আপনি চ্যাট বক্সে আপনি একটা কমেন্ট আকারে দিয়ে দেন। এরপর হচ্ছে যে আমরা যাচ্ছি এবার তাহলে কোশ্চেন এন্ড আনসারিং এ। আমি ওখান থেকে যেসব প্রশ্ন আসছে তার মধ্যে বেছে বেছে কয়েকটা প্রশ্ন এখানে করব। তার মধ্যে আমি খুবই একটা বিষয় উল্লেখ করতে চাই, সেটা হচ্ছে অনেকগুলো প্রশ্ন এমন আসছে স্যার যেগুলো ম্যাক্সিমাম আসলে ডিসকাশনে কভার হয়ে গেছে, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। এখন কিছু বিষয় আছে, আমরা বেসিক থেকে শুরু করি। দ্য ফার্স্ট কোশ্চেন ইজ হোয়াট আর দ্য ডিফারেন্সেস বিটুইন ISI, Web of Science and Scopus, this kind of journals? What are the differences?
Okay, yeah, this is an important question. ISI Web of Science is basically higher level than Scopus. Normally 80% of Scopus journals are already in ISI. So if you talk about the difference between the keyword is actually that 20% of Scopus journals are not listed in ISI journals. So this is one key difference. And in terms of quality, again, Scopus also has Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. ISI Web of Science also has Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. But I think that is only the difference, that margin is 20% of the journals are not listed in ISI Web of Science. ISI Web of Science, in terms of quality, I think overall it is a little bit stronger than the Scopus. So that is one difference I can explain.
Okay, the next question already answer হয়ে গেছে, সেটা হচ্ছে Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 জার্নালের মধ্যে পার্থক্য। এবার একটা খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ প্রশ্ন আছে স্যার, গ্রাফিক্যাল অ্যাবস্ট্রাক্ট। Sometimes journals ask about a graphical abstract. So can you please explain what is that?
Graphical abstract, this one sometimes to entice the people, because graphical, figure, picture, as you know that we give the lecture, if we put so much text, basically this will not entice the students. They cannot understand much. So that's why if you put some graphical, some video, all these things actually will entice some non-readers probably. So that's why this graphical abstract, in some journals this is a mandatory, in some journals it is not mandatory. But there is a problem with the graphical abstract. So far we put in our case this graphical abstract, but because graphical abstract we bring results, methodology, it is not clear. Sometimes contents are not clear. So 3 reviewer comment that this graphical abstract is very, very poor. It is not quality. So please remove. So again, there is a pros and cons. So if you can make a very good graphical abstract, if you are expert in doing something using CAD or using some software, very good, high quality graphical abstract, this is okay. And if it is mandatory, then of course you put. If it is not mandatory, I will encourage not to put, because sometimes quality is not there. You cannot read. It is not, quality is not good. People cannot read, researcher cannot read. So then again, you will get the comment. So actually, these are the things about the graphical abstract.
Okay, then the next question is, in our thesis also and in our articles also, we have sometimes we have some confusions about analysis and discussion. Sometimes we put it together, but what are the basic differences between analysis and discussion?
To me, I think it is not that much different. Actually, discussion, analysis, critical analysis, reasoning phenomena, all these things, what maybe different people term it in different way. One thing is, the difference is, key thing is, one is result, another is the discussion. So result and discussion is a different. Results are data, tables, figures, and so on. And then when we go discussion, actually, this is actually the discussion is the reasoning phenomena. Reasoning phenomena, again, it also includes analysis, comparison, validation. So to me, I think discussion, analysis, all these things similar. I don't see much differences, just matter of terminology, in my view.
Okay, the next question is about qualitative and quantitative method. What are the difference first? And the second one is it necessary to follow only one method? That if I write an article, is it necessary to follow only quantitative, or we can mix also sometimes?
Sorry, I'm not in non-science, so I think maybe Brother Tarek can answer, or anyone who are in that area, maybe.
He has another meeting already, so he is not here now. So maybe later on we can answer this. Okay, so আমাদের যেহেতু সময় শেষের দিকে, তাহলে আমরা মনে হয় কোশ্চেন দিকে না যাই। এবং আমরা আবারও বলছি যে আমাদের যে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ গ্রুপ আছে আমাদের সেমিনার বিষয়ে, সেখানে আপনারা লিভ নেবেন না। আমরা চেষ্টা করবো যত কম মেসেজিং ওখানে হয় এটা এনশিওর করার জন্য। ওখানে থাকলে আপনারা কানেক্টেড থাকতে পারবেন এবং আমরা আপনাদেরকে এই স্লাইডগুলো প্রোভাইড করব। পাশাপাশি আমরা স্যারের স্যারেরই আমরা ইমেল অ্যাড্রেস গুলো প্রোভাইড করব। যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে আপনারা সরাসরি সাবজেক্টকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারবেন। আবারও বলি যে আপনাদের অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আলহামদুলিল্লাহ বিভিন্ন দেশের প্রায় 70টার বেশি ইউনিভার্সিটির আমরা এখানে পার্টিসিপেন্ট আছি, আমরা আছি স্কলাররা, পাশাপাশি আমরা আন্ডারগ্রেড, মাস্টার্স, পিএইচডি স্টুডেন্ট, আমাদের অনেক লেকচারার আছেন, প্রফেসর আছেন বিভিন্ন ইউনিভার্সিটির এবং বিভিন্ন রিসার্চ ইনস্টিটিউটের কাজ করা অনেক রিসার্চার আছেন। তো আমি সবাইকে বিএসইএম এর পক্ষ থেকে বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টস ইউনিয়ন মালয়েশিয়া এবং একই সাথে বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টস অ্যাসোসিয়েশন অফ ইউপিএম এর পক্ষ থেকে আপনাদের সবাইকে আবার অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি স্যারকে এবং আমাদের পার্টিসিপেন্টরা অনেক হ্যাপি এবং অনেকেই এখানে কমেন্ট করছেন, স্যারকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাইছেন। তো আমি সকলের পক্ষ থেকে স্যারকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি এত সুন্দর গোছালো আলোচনার জন্য। আবারও বলছি, ইটস অনলি দ্য বিগিনিং, নট এনাফ। রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের ছোট গল্পের মতো শেষ হয়েও হলো না শেষ। তো আমাদের এটা একটা কন্টিনিউয়াস প্রসেস। তো এটা জাস্ট বিগিনিং। আমরা চাই আরো প্রোগ্রাম অ্যারেঞ্জ করতে এবং প্রত্যেকটা টপিকের ওপর আলাদা আলাদা যদি ডিসকাশন যদি অ্যারেঞ্জ করা সম্ভব হয় আমরা সেগুলো করার জন্য। সবাই আমাদের সাথে কানেক্টেড থাকবেন। এই প্যান্ডেমিকের সময় আপনারা ফিজিক্যালি ডিস্টেন্স মেনটেন করুন, কিন্তু মেন্টালি বি কানেক্টেড উইথ ইচ আদার। আশা করি আমরা সবাই এই মহামারী, এই দুর্যোগ আল্লাহর রহমতে কাটিয়ে উঠতে পারবো ইনশাআল্লাহ। এবং সবসময় জ্ঞানের সাথে থাকুন, রিসার্চের সাথে থাকুন, পড়াশোনার সাথে থাকুন। জ্ঞান জগতে প্রভাব বিস্তারের মাধ্যমে বাংলাদেশকে, নিজেকে এবং সকলকে আমাদের পজিটিভ ইম্প্যাক্ট ফেলার তৌফিক দান করুক আল্লাহ। এরই সাথে আমি শেষ করছি আমাদের আজকের আলোচনা। 1 মিনিটে আমাদের সমাপনী বক্তব্য দিবেন, যেহেতু আমাদের সেশন শেষ। আমি অনুরোধ জানাচ্ছি আমাদের জহিরুল ইসলাম ভাইকে সমাপনী আলোচনা করা এবং সাথে সাথে সমাপ্তি ঘোষণার জন্য। ধন্যবাদ। ভাইকে একটু আনমিউট করেন তো প্লিজ, অথবা স্যার আপনি যদি আমাকে একটু বা ওই আমাদের আব্দুল্লাহ।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে। বিশেষ করে আজকে আমাদের যে স্যার গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সেশন নিয়েছেন, স্যারের প্রতি অনেক অনেক কৃতজ্ঞ আমরা। স্যার অনেক স্যাক্রিফাইস করে আমাদেরকে সময় দিয়েছেন। আশা করছি স্যার আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন ইনশাআল্লাহ। আমরা এরকম আরো অনেক সেশন নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করবো এবার। আর আজকে যারা পার্টিসিপেন্ট ছিলেন তাদেরকে অনেক অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি। আপনারা সময় ব্যয় করে একটা সুন্দর সেশনে এসেছেন। এটা আশা করছি আপনাদের ক্যারিয়ারের বিগিনিং এ অনেক কাজে লাগবে ইনশাআল্লাহ। আমরা এখানে অনেক নবীন প্রবীণ রিসার্চারের সমন্বয় আছে। এটা একটা পজিটিভ হিসেবে আমরা দেখছি যে সবার সাথে একটা কমিউনিকেশন মেনটেন হবে। স্পেশালি আমাদের স্যার আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন ইনশাআল্লাহ। যে কোনো ধরনের কোয়েশ্চেন, যে কোনো ধরনের কোলাবোরেশন আমরা স্যারের হেল্প নিতে পারবো। এবং আমরা আশা করছি এর মাধ্যমে আমরা আমাদের দক্ষতার সাথে নিজেদেরকে গঠন করার মাধ্যমে স্যার যেটা বললেন যে আমরা বাংলাদেশকে যেন রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি। আমি সবসময় যে কথাটা বলে থাকি যে আমরা যেখানেই থাকি বিশ্বে, আমরা যেন আমাদের দেশকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি এবং দেশের সুনাম, দেশের সমৃদ্ধির জন্য কাজ করতে পারি। আল্লাহ আমাদের এই তৌফিক দান করুন। আমি আমার কথা না বাড়িয়ে এখানে শেষ করছি। আবারও স্যার সহ সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি এবং আমাদের অর্গানাইজিং কমিটিতে যারা কাজ করেছেন সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি।